V.XI. Beloved Minutemen of Saint Germain, in speaking of this, I voice to you the words which you have chosen to do me honor. You might not realize it, but I consider it an honor for mankind to have given me sufficient recognition, not having seen me, to declare themselves the Minutemen of 264. The I am 99 Discourses for you. If you care to apply it, you will have that great blessing that will set everyone free. May the powers of eternal light bless you and enfold you in its mighty presence, its directing intelligence, its invincible protection, and hold you sustained in the purity and perfection of life forever. I thank you. DISCOURSEXII 282 November 6, 1938. WASHINGTON, D.C. Beloved Minutemen of Saint Germain, in speaking of this, I voice to you the words which you have chosen to do me honor. You might not realize it, but I consider it an honor for mankind to have given me sufficient recognition, not having seen me, to declare themselves the Minutemen of Saint Germain. That which I shall say to you today, I want to so anchor within your mind, body, and feeling world that you will carry it always as a victory of my power within you. It has been said that a government is the activity of men's minds. I say to you that a government is the activity of men's feelings, for you can think many things with but little consequence, but in an intense feeling it becomes an activity, vibratory action. And power that is limitless in its activity as its vibratory action goes forth. In your decrees, and in sending them forth with the feeling and power that you do, are light rays going forth which are the guns of light, if you 265. 266. The I am 99 Discourses choose to call them that. That becomes a permanently sustained activity for the blessing and benefit of mankind. Those who were in the recent World War understand more than the rest of the world can possibly comprehend what this statement means. For century upon century, mankind has tried to adjust the conditions of the outer world through armament. Of course, temporary results have been produced, one side of mankind considering they have won, but no one ever won anything in war. One side just holds out a little longer than another, but there is no change in conditions except temporary results. Because of the incoming golden age, and because I am the authority under the violet ray for the condition that must be brought about in the world, and having known this for several hundred years, I have sought the world over for people who would give response to me. That I might change the action for mankind and bring about an understanding as this chart indicates to you, the reason why mankind and the only means by which mankind can have a permanent action and sustained power, producing harmony, peace, perfection, and the limitless activity which life has always wanted to give mankind. It is not easy, after centuries of confusion in the minds of mankind, to suddenly clear it away and let Discourse 12:267 the comprehension become active and clear of the simplicity with which life is always trying to act. But since it must be done, I have chosen the messenger to convey these my words and those of the others to mankind, and to also put them in print in a form that you may read, study, and comprehend. I say to you gentlemen, if you will, in reading those books call to your presence, acting through your higher mental body, to give you comprehension and alertness in reading the great laws there. They sound quite simple, that is true, but they are majestic and all-powerful in their action. They are the solution of human problems, and the only permanent one. If you will bear with me for a moment in acknowledging that having become an ascended being, wholly free from all human limitations, and looking over the vast population of the earth, I see there the confusion in the minds of man and see how they are imposed upon by various destructive activities. Being wholly unaware of the conditions that are acting upon them, they unknowingly give way to them and respond to them, causing them to do things that limit, bind, and bring them into such distress as few have understood. You today in America, even with the conditions that exist here, have but little idea of the conditions that are in Europe and the viciousness that has. 268 The I am 99 Discourses turned Europe into the state that it is in today. It has tried for 18 years with a definite cunning that is unparalleled, to get its same clutches upon America. Gentlemen, you do not realize what is there. I have been in Europe every day for months, I know the condition of the feelings there. I know the conditions of the treachery. I know the condition of the warlords that are being used wholly for destructive purposes, and it is only the fear of the people in Italy, in Russia, and in Germany that keeps them from rising and annihilating those dictators from the world. I would not be surprised to see it occur any time, because the light, the cosmic light taking its action in the world, is stirring within mankind their own mighty power of light, of comprehension, and fearlessness. Many, many men would rather lose their physical bodies than to go on under the conditions that their own hearts tell them are coming about. In no place on the face of the earth is there within the feeling of mankind what is in America today. It always has been so, for that matter. When something threatens our country, even people who have disagreed and almost hated each other will rise as one in defense of our America, and you can depend on it. The decrees that the I.M. students are sending. Discourse 12-269 forth are the mightiest service that mankind has ever rendered, because they are acting directly upon the feeling world of mankind. When a group of people are sending out these decrees, you do not see the ultimate action of it, but we do. We know exactly where that energy goes and what it produces in the feeling world of mankind. Therefore, there is no power today in the present outer activity that is as powerful as sending forth these decrees by the great body of students. 600,000 are now doing it in America to hold the balance until enough momentum can be gained. The light will control even discordant individuals through those decrees, so it will cause them to do the honorable, just, and right thing. This power needs to be directed into your government today to give protection to the people. There is such treachery going on through spies and intrigue that mankind must arise, and by these decrees call forth the inner power of protection, because the power of the cosmic light and the power of the ascended masters and the cosmic beings must be released. If you do not quite understand this, please remember that they are real and they are the only assistance to mankind today. Mankind is not strong enough, even with what assistance has been gained, to yet hold the balance for the protection of America. 270 The I.M. 99 Discourses The Ascended Masters must have a certain amount of energy released from the human octave in order to allow us to give the protection and the assistance that is necessary. We must have some of your energy, and that is what is done in the putting forth of these mighty decrees. You are releasing the energy by which it gives us the authority and power to render this service to you, the earth, and to America. That is V.XI. If I had not brought this forth, it would have been impossible to give this protection to America, and I am more and more convinced that we are going to succeed in the completeness of it. You might say to me, did you not know all that would be accomplished in the city of Washington since the messenger's arrival here? As I have said many times, gentlemen, could I depend upon the feeling of all the students to be held in a certain degree of harmony, I could tell you exactly what we could do, but you cannot do it. You cannot depend upon the human qualities and sustain an action, a sustained feeling. Could I do that, I could tell you exactly what would take place every week from now on to the end of the year, as definitely as mathematics, but since we cannot always depend upon the feeling of mankind, we must make allowances for certain things. Discourse 12-271 We have been able to accomplish for the city of Washington more than I had expected by far, because I have been here in person in my tangible body several times in the past weeks in your city, and where I go in the tangible body, I release certain powers into the human octave that make it possible for accomplishment, otherwise impossible. Therefore, as you are coming to feel more and more my reality, it gives me greater and greater power and authority to act for you and for your government. My activity throughout more than 400 years has been to try to bring divine order and adjustment in the governmental activities of the world. In Europe, I failed utterly because I could not find sufficient response from mankind. Therefore, gentlemen, in the response that is given today, I do appreciate very greatly the formation of the Minutemen of America, for you as masculine individuals represent under the cosmic law a certain positive force. While there are many in the feminine form that represent quite as strong a positive force, yet the law is, just a little while yet, accepting the masculine power as a positive force, which under the great law is soon coming to a conclusion. Therefore I am sure many of you feel that, in the power of the decrees issued by the Minutemen, you are releasing a certain positive force that is tremendously. 272 The I.M. 99 Discourses powerful in all that is to be done. Therefore, remember that in your Minutemen meetings, and I am sure before 6 months are past, you will have great groups of Minutemen rendering this service, aside from what is done otherwise. Remember your privilege in service in this capacity, to put forth these mighty decrees. Gentlemen, I am going to make a suggestion. Call directly for the projection of the light rays by the ascended masters and the cosmic beings into your government, to produce divine order and divine justice and to bring about the permanent remedy for conditions. It is quite imperative at this time. Call for these light rays to go into every business activity and compel divine justice to be given all. Many individuals respond to destructive forces without knowing it, and some respond because they want to. That is neither here nor there. But to call forth the power of light to govern the feeling world of mankind will bring divine order and divine justice into the government, which is all that will be and is required. You cannot take destructive intent or force out of an individual's intellect if there be an intent, if there be a desire and the feeling to commit wrong. It will act unless something stops it. But the intellect can desire without the feeling responding to it. Then it is only a temporary thing. In the conditions that Discourse 12-273 are to be adjusted today, a great part of their activity is yet in the intellect. It has not yet entered deep into the feeling. That is the thing which gives us great encouragement. That is why these decrees will prevent the intellectual desire from entering into the feeling world, which makes it a positive force in action. Therefore, through these ascended master decrees, everyone can annul a great many of the conditions which have an appearance, because their activity as yet is only in the intellect. That is why we expect to accomplish so much in the next few months. The more we can remove from the invisible that which influences mankind through destructive activities, of course, the more quickly will humanity respond. Why do you suppose I had scarcely any response in Europe in 400 years? Because the atmosphere is saturated by such destructive forces that mankind could not be at rest, at ease long enough to allow the powers to get through, and you will remember, in those days we could not intrude upon the free will of the individual. Neither do we today except where there are viciously destructive forces. The great cosmic law has said that no longer may the free will of those individuals act. That would be the one hope today of the remedying of 274 the I.M. 99 Discourses conditions. Therefore destructive individuals can be stopped. That is what has occurred in many instances, and why these activities can be removed from the earth. That is the activity of the great cosmic law, not the cosmic law the outer scientists explain to you, but the cosmic law that is projected from the central governing power of this system of planets, which the messengers express to you as the great central sun. That is the cosmic light projected by those great beings who are the authority for this system of planets. That is why it becomes all-powerfully active to produce results, and why you will see more and more of it as you see this great impulse go forth. In your assistance to America, remember, you stand as one in authority for all mankind in your call to the mighty I Am presence, the presence of light, to project its mighty light rays into any condition, whether it be individual, city, state, or government, to produce its perfection and hold its dominion there. As you call forth the cosmic light rays, either from the royal Teton, from the retreat in Arabia, from the cosmic beings, the ascended masters, or the I Am students, to project their mighty light rays into the activities of your government, it is all. Discourse 12-275 a substance of light that no human quality can change. The light simply goes into action. Now, suppose you are causing to be placed, or focused, one of those light rays upon an office in your government. That light would remain in action there, until the service for which you had called it, was accomplished. Try to feel this, because it is an almighty action. You might think as a humble individual, how could I have the authority? Well, you have the authority of life, which is beating your heart. Your physical position has nothing to do with it. If you have the desire to call for the loyalty and protection for America, you have all the authority of life to act within your heart, which gives you the authority to make the call to the presence of life, the mighty I Am presence. To all the powers of light, and the authority to project its light rays into a given objective and hold them there until the power of light dissolves all else and replaces it by perfection, divine order, and divine justice. That is the authority that every human being has, and there is no authority outside of it. There is no authority that can say you shall not call for a certain activity for the protection of yourself and America. In all that you require, you must call forth invincible protection for yourself because when you turn 276 the I Am 99 Discourses to the powers of light and call them into action, you become a power before all invisible forces, most of which you know nothing about at all, but we do. We know what is playing upon you, and we make every effort to convey to you that which you are bound to meet, and which has been acting upon you wholly unknown in the feeling. Look at this good messenger before you. For 30 years the black magician frustrated his every attempt at success, his every plan that would have otherwise worked out. Then came the time where the law of his life permitted me to step in and give the assistance and set him free. Gentlemen, I stand ready to render the same service to every student in America today. One, of course, I love these messengers. They were once my own children and I have never forgotten it, but that is beside the point. The power of light must take its dominion now or never on earth. If this should fail, then mankind has failed on earth. That is the position mankind stands in today. But I declare it shall not fail, and from the response that is building from the people of America, I am convinced more each day that it shall not fail. Therefore, give me your response, all you can. I cannot say to mankind, come here. This is the condition. If you do not wish to respond to it, then you. Discourse 12:277 must take the consequences. That is not my position. It is mankind who need their freedom. I stand ready to offer it and to sustain it, and I have proven to the world in lifting the messengers to their present position that I have the authority and power to do it when sufficient obedience is given. There is no one who wants to see the truth that can deny that. Therefore I say to you, every student in America, I can do the same for you if you will give the same obedience in your application as they have given, because remember, your application is the imperative thing for your freedom and for the freedom of America, the application of these great laws. They are mighty, gentlemen. When you are issuing a decree, do you feel the infinite power of it? Momentarily, sometimes you do, but once you begin to feel the infinite power of your mighty decree sent forth in the name of the I Am, there will not be one single thing that you cannot achieve on the spot. That is why I say to you there is nothing so important, so vital among mankind today as the issuing of the I Am decrees for the advancement, the expansion of your own light, the protection of yourself, your families, and America. All is the one mighty energy acting according to your direction and qualification. In rendering this service today, the opportunity. 278 The I Am 99 Discourses has never been so great before mankind. Try to feel this in all your decrees, every one you send forth for yourself individually or for America or for whatever is required. Remember that it is the infinite power of light calling to itself when you voice anything for a constructive purpose. It is the voice of the light calling back to itself from the human individualization for its perfection and its victory. Therefore, it is the authority. People have not felt this, but feel that your call is the authority of life calling back to itself to pour forth its mighty energy to give you its protection and its blessing. Feel that in all your requirements individually, in your country, in your government and all that concerns it, and in your industries, the great power of light is answering your calls. You of course know without my saying it that in your world of industry today, the most diabolical attempt is being made to shut off the food supply of mankind and, through fear, compel people into certain obedience that gives certain powers authority over them. You must decree that this shall not be. Call the infinite powers of light to give their infinite protection, so that no individuals come into a position of authority, of temporary control over you that would produce such a result. I do not hesitate to tell you that it is being attempted every day, and the Discourse 12:279 unfortunate thing is that so many innocent individuals are caught in this frightful thing. For instance, take one illustration, the condition of the milk industry and its investigating going on today. Underlying that is the most tragic, vicious attempt to shut off and come into control of the food activity, to get its heel upon the neck of mankind. But I declare it shall not be. With your decrees going forth, giving the element required from the human octave, then we shall use every power at our command to prevent such a thing taking place in America. Gentlemen, I have not stopped in more than 2 years, not for one moment, in watching, guarding, projecting the mighty light rays into conditions to prevent the disaster. As the messengers have told you, 18 months ago the most vicious war ever known would have begun in your America, but for this work. Therefore, it is worth your entire devotion and every moment you have, to give forth silently as you move about, the call to the presence of life, to render this service to yourself, to mankind, and America. Therefore I want you to feel the importance of the position you hold today in your understanding and ability to call forth these decrees. America needs you as never in her experience. In the time of Washington and Lafayette it was. 280 The I Am 99 Discourses country against country. Today, it is light against darkness of hundreds of thousands of centuries of accumulation. That is the difference in the position of Washington and those patriots who won the victory through physical and also divine forces. As the goddess of liberty watched over America then, so does she still watch. But today, with the attention of more than 600,000 people upon her, that gives her authority which never occurred in the time of Washington, for he was the only one outside of myself who knew what she was attempting to give America and its protection. Therefore remember that, in all things which are brought to your attention, think, if for no other reason, to pour forth your love to France for being the means by which the symbol of the Goddess of Liberty stands in New York Harbor today. Beloved ones, the evidence has been constantly brought before all mankind, but few have understood. Now today, when all is being made clear, plain, and so many are comprehending, then are you in the position to render a service by the projection of light rays 10,000 times more powerful than all your armaments combined, for that produces but temporary results, while the light rays produce eternally sustained results. In all your activity in calling forth the powers of Discourse 12-281, your presence, whatever is accomplished through that is a permanently sustained activity and never has to be redone. Notice the difference. Therefore, I say to you, utilize this opportunity, gentlemen. Remember, I am real. Remember, within me rests the freedom of America. With your response, I assure you it shall not fail, but if mankind should turn aside and refuse to give assistance, then all would be lost for America, her people, and the earth. Then devastation would spread over the entire earth with a speed you could not conceive of today as you are sitting in the comfort of this room. You do not realize how the forces of light, the walls of light, hold back destructive forces until they can be governed. I want you to feel the joy of this service, and don't allow any uncertainty to register within your feeling. Your calls and the ever-increasing numbers of people who are coming into this understanding will supply all that is required for the victory of this light. Live in that, accept no other appearance. When any other appearance to the contrary comes to your attention, annihilate it by the power of the light rays and say to it, you have no power. Oh, any condition that has an appearance in America which is less than the perfection you require in America, you must say to that appearance in the authority and power of your presence. 282 The I am 99 Discourses, you have no power. Then call the powers of the mighty I am, to annihilate, dissolve, and consume the seeming effects that are there, cause, effect, record, and memory. Then you will have removed the cause, the effect is very little if the cause is removed. Now think, when we are rendering the service to you, to mankind today which we are, in seizing and binding these black magicians who have been the instigators of all the destruction on the earth for centuries and centuries. Then we too are rendering our part of the service in a way you could not possibly understand. There are no words to explain it, but simply to call your attention to it so that you may realize we love you enough and we love the light enough to want its dominion upon the earth. So that the earth does not fail in that which is the demand of the cosmic light now to come up to its vibratory action, to expand more light and enter into its dominion with the rest of the planets. It is not a matter of individuals, but a matter of the demand of the cosmic light in which individuals will find response. Therefore, I say to you, you have infinite assistance, you have infinite power, and you have friends all-powerful that are ready to hold your hand and carry you forward to the victory of the light. Discourse 12-283 May you all feel that, may you be sustained by it. And may you enter into the full joy of your service which it is your privilege to render, knowing that your service to America and its protection, and your service to the government and to industry will compel your own freedom to come about in a perfectly natural way. I thank you, gentlemen, and may the powers of light that beat your heart allow us to amplify and expand that and give you the assistance at all times, individually or otherwise, that gives you your happiness, your limitless supply, and your freedom and victory of life. I thank you. DISCOURSE 12-301 November 27, 1938. NEWYORKCITY, NEWYORK. Gentlemen and beloved students, we are endeavoring to convey to you again more clearly the requirements of your life and what it means for you to apply the qualities, the activities, and the powers of your presence, the mighty I am, in business. In the world of industry where it is needed so much today. However, before continuing that which I shall say to you, I ask you Minutemen and those who are the group leaders at this time, to definitely issue a mighty decree to prevent the imprisonment of innocent individuals. Will you please make a note of this, for it will be forthcoming. The reason I ask this is that there are conditions all over America today, in which vicious individuals are trying to imprison innocent people to get them out of the way. I do not hesitate to say that one of them is in the milk industry, which is endeavoring to railroad innocent individuals out of their way in order to carry out the nefarious attempt which they are making to control the 284. Discourse 12-285 Food supply of the people of America. Do not be asleep to these things. I tell you, it is a dangerous thing, dangerous in the extreme. That is how they hope to get control of mankind. I want to say to you, gentlemen, one of the most dangerous things is that in the pretense of doing good, from at least a half-dozen angles they have gained information concerning the private life of every man in America. Many times that is done with one purpose, to find something shady within the life of the individual when they have made mistakes, through which they can hold a lever or pressure over the individual. That has not been an activity of the light, you know that. It is an activity of the sinister forces who want to hold this binding power upon mankind. However, it is my firm opinion today that this thing will be corrected. Remember, gentlemen, there is only one thing in this world that can bring a permanent solution of the industrial problems today, and that is the call of enough individuals within those conditions to the mighty I Am presence, which is the power of light called forth and brought into action. To sustain and carry forth that mighty radiation of the octave of light into the world of industry. It is the only solution that can be permanent. Any man that will take the mighty I Am presence into partnership. 286 The I Am 99 discourses into business with him, will find himself successful, and he will find there is no opposition that can interfere with him at any time. You know quite well in your large cities all over America, the racketeers have sought to gain control over every industry in your city, and always some portion of the food supply because then they think they can compel people to do their bidding, but I tell you. As you have seen and as the messenger referred to last night, those two moving pictures, I Am the Law and Racketeers, show or illustrate how the people are arising with a power. Dear people, you the people of America are the power, the authority for your America. I tell you, when the American people will arise and stand together, they will place in office the people who serve the light and the constructive purpose. That is what is needed today. Could you see the conditions in Europe, the most tragic ever in the history of Europe? In all the wars that have ever been, nothing has touched the condition that is there today. I have been there every day and I know what I am talking about. I do not take anyone's opinion. I go and see for myself the exact conditions, therefore, there is no one who can tell me what is or what is not the truth there. I see for myself, and I bring to you such part of that truth as I think is beneficial. I tell you, gentlemen, never was. Discourse 12-287 There's such a condition as exists in Russia, Germany, and Italy today. Those dictators own the bodies of those people, and the people dare not do one thing without every act being known. Now, I have the opportunity to prevent such a condition in America, and I am your friend. For 200 years I have worked and sought every conceivable means of honor to bring about the awakening of the people of America, and through these beloved messengers, who have had indomitable courage, have we awakened 800,000 people or more, and brought to their attention the great presence of life, the mighty I Am. Therefore, gentlemen, sleep no longer upon the questions of life before you'll be not deceivable. We call for divine order and divine justice to take command in every condition that exists. We do not take sidesal, we have no criticism nor condemnation of any human being, but we are determined that the conditions which exist shall be changed into divine order and divine justice for everybody concerned. The communists who gained such headway among your universities and schools and among your industries, with a cunning incredible, sending their spies and agitators among your people, causing these strikes and conditions, there is not one thing today that they have given that has 1/10 supplied the 288 The I Am 99 discourses loss that came to those people. Those agitators feathered their nests while the people who were on strike were in hunger. Never is anything accomplished by such activity. You have seen it throughout the ages in embodiments besides these, and it never won any victory yet in this world, nor did any war ever win any victory, except people become exhausted and quit for the time being. But when they get the strength, they go at it again. Europe has fought at intervals throughout the centuries, and it is no wonder they are in the condition they are today. I pleaded with every government in Europe for more than 40 years. I went to the heads of the governments in my tangible body, even before my ascension, and pleaded with the people concerning the law of life and how, if their obedience was given, they would transcend anything they had known before. But they were too arrogant and would not listen. Now, I have found in America a great number of people who want the constructive way of life, who want the freedom of life, and who are willing to give obedience to life. That brings me to the point of a vitally important thing. You are serving the presence of life, the mighty I Am. There must be an integrity, a sense of honor, and a moral attitude that is irreproachable by any person in the world. Discourse 12:289. When you cannot be touched by any other means in the world, the destructive forces will try to reach you through your moral standards. They try to arouse abnormal sex activity to make you waste your energy, for then you have not the strength and power to hold to the presence of life, or call it into action to give you the assistance you require. Gentlemen, I know mankind from A to Z. Once I lived in physical bodies like yours. I know the contact of every human being. I know what is within the human desire of human beings that they do not even dream is there. Therefore I am in a position to give assistance, to help. I have no criticism for any human being on the face of this earth. All mankind have made plenty of mistakes, but that is not important. To correct them is the thing that is important. Therefore today in your world of industry, if you do not sustain strength and power in your physical body, in your feeling world and mental world, gentlemen, you are lost. That is where the I Am students today could become an invincible power on the face of this earth, and there would be nothing in the world that would stand before them as a body of men. You have styled yourselves the Minutemen of myself, the Minutemen of Saint Germain. Do you know what that means? It means the most powerful. 290. The I Am 99 Discourses honor that mankind can give to life. Therefore, I prompt you on your moral standards, gentlemen, because throughout America I have seen blessed gentlemen fall under the control of that sex desire when their hearts were so good. Because the sinister force seized upon them, and increased the desire and fired it into such action that the individuals felt unable to control it, they succumbed to it. I prompt you, do not give way to those things. Call your presence to take out of you that desire and hold its invincible protection about you. It is the only way you will ever win this victory for the freedom of America. Gentlemen, do you realize that that great one, the ascended Master Jesus, said the last enemy to be overcome was death? And how does death come about? In reality there is no death, but he meant the release of yourself from your physical bodies. Gentlemen, when your desire goes down below the heart, you are dragging yourself into so-called death, because one day it will release your energy from your body until you can no longer hold to the body, and that is the only reason for death, so-called. Your energy is wasted, it is gone. Remember in the early part of this work when the messenger conveyed this magnificent understanding to mankind, a great many thought, well, now I. Discourse 12:291 have learned how to draw the energy forth, and I can gratify myself all I please and still retain the energy I require. What a mistake! Gentlemen, let me remind you that between your physical body and your mighty I Am presence is your higher mental body which knows the perfection that the presence is, and knows your imperfection. It is the director of the energy through your body that you call forth from the presence. And do you think your higher mental body, which is all-wise, would release energy of an added power for you to gratify yourself without limit? It will not release energy for that purpose, do not make a mistake about that. I tell you, gentlemen, the need today is in retaining that mighty energy in your body. Pass it back to the presence so that the power of that mighty light ray going forth can carry that substance from the physical octave of the physical body into your world of activity through physical results. It is the only way you will ever win any victory, health, strength, courage, power of achievement. It only comes through that stream of life and energy from your own God presence, your mighty I Am, but if you let that go on down and carry out, where is your energy retained? It is practical, gentlemen. It is not a matter of moral standard, but it is a matter of the release end. 292 The I Am 99 Discourses waste of that energy which is from your presence, that should be retained in your body to give you courage, strength, and power to win your victory. It is the only way you could do it. I could point out to you 1,000 men in New York whom I know and have watched, when, in the early part of their career, their whole attention was fixed upon the success of their industry, their business, they gave no thought to sex activity except in their own homes. Then when they had reached a certain achievement and they began to let down on the pressure of their success, then their attention went to where it always goes, where an idle mind always goes. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Gentlemen, if you are not otherwise occupied in your mind, read, study, do something to keep your mind off the sex desire. That is what mankind needs today, gentlemen. Do not misunderstand me. I am not criticizing anyone, but I am citing you the law that I know absolutely is the only means by which mankind can free themselves from the conditions that exist today. Gentlemen, call with all your heart for ascended master friends to fill every official place in America, and keep it up until the day when they are there. That is the call to light, the power that releases and brings individuals in ways you could not even. Discourse 12-293. Imagine, but it must come through the call to light and the ascended masters. Gentlemen, do you understand why we, the ascended masters, are necessary to you? You might naturally think that when you have come to know your mighty I Am presence, you do not require our service. But let me assure you that until you have gained the full conviction and have called sufficient momentum of your mighty I Am presence into action, you have not the strength, the courage to stand until you have gained sufficient momentum from your own mighty I Am presence to carry you forward. We have that strength. We are able to release it into your feeling world. We do not ask your obedience to us, we ask your obedience to life, your own life. Then your life will take command of you and your world and produce such health, strength, happiness, and perfection that there is the victory of life there. Gentlemen, I call your attention to this good messenger. Did he waste his energy in pleasure gratification? How in the name of God do you think he would be able to call forth this limitless energy and strength which he does, from 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock the next morning, pouring forth this mighty energy, calling for the protection and blessing of mankind? It is without. 294. The I Am 99 Discourses limit. He can call forth whatever is required, but he could not do it if he were wasting his energy. This is one of the greatest truths, gentlemen, before you, and the pitiful thing is that mankind have encouraged each other. Doctors encourage men and women that they must gratify themselves for relaxation. What a pitiful thing, what a tragedy before mankind. My dear friends, when there above you is that mighty stream of life, the harmonizing presence of the universe beating your heart, then you tell me that one must waste his energy in order to have relaxation. In the name of God, gentlemen, see the truth and see how mistaken those individuals are. I am not criticizing those doctors. Many of them actually believe that, because they have been trained through their medical science to believe such a thing is possible. But it is not. I know better, and one day they will, but under the present condition, unless these things are understood, mankind is lost. That is why you are Minutemen of America. You may call yourselves Minutemen of St. Germain, but I call you Minutemen of America because you are the ones whom I must depend on for a release of this power and energy, this call to life, which will bring about the protection for America and hold it sustained. Gentlemen, please understand. I know your every. Discourse 12-295 Desire, and I know this, I know that if you will train yourselves the moment you feel the slightest sex desire to say, for mighty I Am presence, take out of me that desire and replace it with your satisfaction and perfection. It will be caused to disappear and you will be the governing power of your feeling world and your desire world, which will draw you and lift you into that perfection in which finally that desire will disappear entirely. Even though you are touching the radiation of someone who has that desire, still will you be prompted so quickly that it will not reach action in your world. I do not mean mankind should not use the life force for procreation of their kind, because that must yet be done, but that is sufficient. Mankind is succumbing to these conditions because they have not understood that the waste of that energy is the thing that has left them a prey to the destructive forces. Will you understand me when I say I long for the day when the great law of life permits me to stand before you in my tangible body and show you what it means, the conservation of the energy of life? The day I can stand before you and blaze the light from my body that would fill this room, send from my head, my throat, my heart, and my hands those mighty rays. 296 The I Am 99 Discourses direct to you, then will you understand what it means to conserve the energy of life. That is why we as ascended beings have limitless power, because in the ascended state, gentlemen, there are no such desires. There is no such thing as sex desire in the ascended state, that only belongs to the human octave. Won't you be seated, please? Remember, your human octave is from the surface of the earth to approximately 7,000 feet, varying in certain localities and conditions, but that is the only place that sex desire exists. I want you to understand that, gentlemen, and the reason I am taking it up is because you of New York need this. The pressure of that desire over your city and over your people is tragic, and unless you are strong, unyielding in your call to the presence to keep out of you that desire, you would succumb to it, of course. Through your call you become the victory of light. Then as you conserve that energy in your body and you gain that strength and power, then your call to the presence goes forth like dynamite, and you have the immediate answer to your call. I ask you, minute men, stand guard over those who come into your groups. One with intense sex desire can spread that radiance over your entire group. I say to you, gentlemen, every one of you before you enter your group meetings, cast from you. Discourse 12:297 Every desire of that kind for the time you are in that group meeting, and let nothing call your attention back to it while you are there, because there you have come to serve the light. That is why today in this mighty call to the presence of life, you are a power that you do not dream of yet. Your presence is the doer, your call releases its mighty intelligence and power into action, and whatever this messenger has done or has been able to do thus far, you can do. His calls are answered with the power of lightning, and the proof is the letters and telegrams received which are proof of it. Therefore, that is by the gaining of that momentum and the conserving of the energy so that when you make the call, it goes forth like a rocket to the objective and the thing is accomplished. It would be so in all business and industry where the people had conserved that energy, then when they make a call for divine order and divine justice and perfection to come into their business, that light would go forth like a rocket and the thing would be accomplished. Everyone can have the proof of that who wants to try it out. Today that need is so great. In your application, gentlemen, let me remind you again that when you call to the presence, one or more of those light rays go forth. That power of light knows no resistance nor interference. 298 The I am 99 Discourses Therefore, you cannot help but feel that your call to life is the imperative command for that result to be produced. If you will think of it in that manner, you will not fail to have your calls answered in a single instance. But if you feel unknowingly that you physically are the one that is the doer, then you are obstructing the way, because your human feeling will intrude or clothe the energy as it goes forth. That has been what is the matter with mankind. They have not understood that the power of energy clothes the light which goes forth and carries the quality instead of the power of light, because the quality clothing that light as it goes forth strikes before the light and undoes the activity the light would produce. Therefore, to simply refrain from qualifying that mighty energy of life by any human quality, then will that energy go forth and perform the service quickly and give you all the evidence you require of its power to act for you. All these things you must prove for yourself, but you will find every word I tell you is the truth. Remember, gentlemen, for 600 years I have pleaded with mankind, and only within 7 years have I found a response. Think of it, gentlemen. When in France I took Napoleon under my wing, so to speak, and as a lad he was as obedient as. Discourse 12:299 This messenger, I thought then of the glory of all that appeared before me in using him as a means of bringing a United States of Europe. Had he given obedience as he did in the beginning, we would have had the United States of Europe today, and the condition that exists there would not have been. He was obedient until he determined to go to Moscow. I said to him the night before, Napoleon, you are allowing the human to control you, and if you go forward, your star sets tonight. I put a screen across the corner of the room in order to try to convince him of my power, and I walked behind that screen in one form and came out another. But it was of no avail. He had become so steeped in that human desire and determination that he threw me aside, and mankind, at that time, their free will was paramount. I had nothing to do but step aside. His star did set that night, and you know the result. Then just before his passing, he had called and called and called to me for weeks and weeks, and I would not go near him. Then just before his passing, I went to him and I said, Napoleon, why in the name of God did you allow the human desire to take command of you when such magnificent glory could have come through you as one individual? Of course, he could not answer. Today, the great cosmic light and cosmic law. 300 The I am discourses have so provided that the destructive free will of individuals can be withdrawn and set aside. Had that been the condition then, I would have withdrawn his free will and compelled him to go on to victory. That could be done today, but it could not be then. That is why today, gentlemen, you have had your assistance. I could go on here for hours reciting to you the innumerable means that life is providing because of the need of the earth today, which did not exist at that time. Since shortly before beloved Jesus' ministry, more than 20 centuries, the call has been for the earth to expand more light. Gentlemen, how does the earth do that? Through human beings, so the light can only expand through human beings, that makes the intensification of the light of the earth. which means the charge and release of the light in the electronic atoms in the atmosphere of Earth, just as I have shown this good messenger time and again when we entered caves or passageways that were dark as midnight, and suddenly the place was illuminated. That was by the release of the light within the atmosphere, just as the light is within the atmosphere everywhere. Gentlemen, let me remind you of the difference. Discourse 12:301 The fire breath of God. If you really understood that and held it within your feeling, it would be impossible for you to breathe anything into your body that would harm it. You have qualified the substance from your cities with the power of germs and all that kind of thing, to harm you. Do you know, gentlemen, that the light within your body is impervious to germs of any kind, except by your power of qualification which admits them? Now, there are particles of substance that the medical world calls germs, of course, which are imperfection, but the light within you has been placed there as the impervious protection to your human structure. Since mankind insists on giving power to these outer things to come in and harm them, well, they are the authority since they have free will to invite those things into their bodies to produce harm. Oh, that you could understand that and set about at once to free yourself from those things. Why, gentlemen, this good messenger has gone to those having smallpox and every other kind of disease, and remained untouched by the conditions that were there. Oh, the power of your acceptance, gentlemen, is a mighty thing. It is the power of your life acting. You can accept or reject whatever you will. You can accept the truth I give you and be free, or reject it and continue in your limitations and distress. 302 The I am 99 Discourses. Gentlemen, I ask you to look at these messengers who, 7 years ago, even 5 years ago, were in the same position the mass of mankind is in today, and because of their willing obedience to me, they have been raised into their freedom. That is no imagination, that is real. I can do the same thing for every one of you with that same determination and obedience that they were willing to give. That is what obedience to life means. They ask nothing, we ask nothing but your obedience to life, and everyone, someday, somewhere, has to give it. Of course, remember, you have entered a period never known in the history of this earth before. You have entered a period where the great cosmic light has said to mankind, you must wake up. That is a command that cannot be denied by any human being on earth. Either they give obedience or go down under the outer pressure. It is a matter of choice today, and you still have that choice. Therefore, you as the Minutemen representing myself, remember, never do anything that I would not do in honor, integrity, or moral standard, then you will feel and you will have my strength and energy to sustain you. And that of all the ascended masters who are so gladly and willingly pouring forth their mighty power and blessing to you. You stand today on the threshold of infinite perfection. Discourse 12:303 Gentlemen, and there is not one of you in this room, it doesn't make any difference how many years are over your head, who could not restore himself to youth, vitality, strength, and power if you only would. But it would mean, at first, very great determination until you surmounted the charged energy that you have called about you. If you would call the presence to use the violet consuming flame to dissolve and consume every particle of the accumulation of the past, including the present, then you would find it quite easy. You know, gentlemen, in the business world they might think I was mistaken in this attitude to life. But let me tell you, I know its every requirement, and I know that unless you give obedience to that life, you will go down under the human creation of its pressure. There are only two things, you have to go up or down, and wherever your energy goes, there your life will follow. Gentlemen, you have in your natural activity of your physical body your attention, your vision, and the power of your qualification, 3 of the greatest faculties in the universe, which you can direct. There is no authority but yourself, so far as you and your world is concerned, as to how you are going to use that. You can use it in wholly constructive activity and lift yourself into the freedom and happiness of every good thing, or you. 304 The I am 99 Discourses can let that energy go down and drag your body with it. Therefore, it is a matter of choice. Gentlemen, my love is very great for you. Having gone through the human experiences, I know what mankind experience. I know what is in your hearts. I know how your hearts have called for that strength and freedom over these desires, and if you will allow me, I will help you to be free from them. Don't make any mistake, I am not limited. I can project a light ray to every one of you or all the students in America at once, and give the assistance they require. That is where the limitless power of light comes in. Therefore, All of these great ones are standing ready to give you their assistance if you are willing to give the obedience required, not to them, but to your life. All you can ever know, all that you can ever use in this universe is just your own life. I want you to see how practical that is, the most practical thing in the universe. We never talk about anything else but your life, its use, its application. Since mankind have not been free, then there was something missing, and that was their application of life. It has been so difficult for mankind to believe that they had any real part, that God had to do through them what God would do for them. That is one. Discourse 12:305 Mistake of mankind throughout the centuries. They have believed God would do for them, in spite of themselves, what God could do through them. That is where your call comes in, gentlemen. You have to make your call with a firm, unyielding determination. Stand for the perfection of life, or you will not have it. That is why the great blessing is before you without limit. Your success can reach any achievement in the way you wish, and in and through a wholly constructive activity, but you cannot have it unless you will give obedience to that life which is the producer. One day, gentlemen, the middleman will disappear. What an hour of rejoicing that will be when the middleman has disappeared from your America. Then will the producer and the consumer be one in their mighty activity, and all will prosper. The distributor will be paid a sufficient sum for his freedom and happiness. Then there will be no controlling of prices to drain the consumer and the producer and draw the great profit into the hands of one who is not entitled to anything except for the service rendered. Then will mankind come into the balance of life. Think of it. In this great America where harmony from mankind would project itself into the earth and the earth would produce in itself limitless abundance, then those individuals say we have to keep the 306 the IM99 discourses prices at a certain point, draining the consumer, paying so much to the producer. And where does the rest go? Those are conditions that must be remedied on this earth, and once they are, mankind will have a happiness and freedom they have never known in this world. My activity for centuries has been to try to bring the governmental activities into divine order and divine justice. With the increasing response from the people of America, as that is continued and held, I promise you that there will be divine order and divine justice in full power of action in your America, and there shall be placed in every official position. Ascended Master friends of America, please be seated. Remember, gentlemen, I want to cite just a few things to you. I take you back to the early period of your America when the railroads and the means of transportation were needed across your country, and not enough people could be brought together to harmonize to do it. Therefore, we drew great quantities of money into individuals' hands. Those individuals thought they were the ones by their ability who brought that great accumulation of money, but I tell you, we brought it into that focus so that one individual had sufficient means by which he could. Discourse 12:307 Control the situation and build those railroads through your America, and bring your transportation. And so it was an unlimited means of activity. Today that requirement is finished. Today must come the balance of mankind financially in your world of food activity and in your world of industry. I could bring to you within 10 minutes the discovery that would heat and light your homes for 15 cents a day. Now then, since there are millions in the present means of producing this, do you wonder that they do not want to give way to that thing which they think would lose them their millions? They do not understand the presence of life, that they would know positively they could not be deprived of anything in allowing the perfection of life to come forth to their fellow man. They could not be deprived. However, they did not bring $1 here and they cannot take $1 away, then who owns it? The presence of life. Gentlemen, is there anything more logical in the world? Can you show me anybody that takes anything with him? You have to even clothe them when they cast off those bodies. What do they take with them? They think they are dead, but they are a long way from being dead. They cast off those bodies which are no longer of use, but they are more alive than they were before. Don't make any mistake. 308 The IM99 discourses about it. Gentlemen, there is no such thing as death in the universe, and I know it. Therefore, gentlemen, I want you to think this over, and when you have an opportunity, kindly put this before your fellow men. Ask them that question, what did you bring here with you and what can you take away? You are custodians of what is in your hands, that is true and rightful, but let no human being be arrogant about that which he has been made custodian of. These are mighty laws that are coming and forcing themselves into the consciousness and action of mankind, gentlemen, and life will see that mankind does accept them. Life is coming into its dominion, and you will see it. Since the sufficient response now has come to enable this momentum to gain steadily and surely, then one day this place will be filled, every seat, with Minutemen of America. Do you know what that means, gentlemen? It means such happiness, such freedom, such blessing, such health, and such strength and harmony in the world of mankind, in your world of industry, in your business world, that not one person will have a single desire, because of cunningness, to undo another. Look at your stock exchange today, the most cunning, diabolical means of wrecking human. Discourse 12:309 beings and taking from them everything they have. Never was such a tragedy on the face of this earth as is your stock exchange here in your city, built in the form of a magnet to draw the people there and make them fall for its power. That shall vanish. Therefore you who understand, gentlemen, I plead with you with all the kindness of my heart, give obedience to your life. Make its mighty application with such firm determination that soon everything of your accumulation has been dissolved and has disappeared. Then in the glory of that light which beats your heart, go forward the magnificent splendor of life, the light through each one of your human forms. I know your hearts are so good. I know your desire is for the light, is for the perfection of life. You who now begin to understand, must be the vanguard of that which is to follow. You must be strong in your determination, and you must be so advised in this which I have given you, that you can answer by our words. Then no one can argue with you, no one will want to deny the truth that you speak. If you try to do it humanly, then you will find yourself in arguments, but when an argument starts, stop and walk away if necessary. Do not waste your energy in argument, ever. It does no good and often causes. 310 The I am 99 Discourses Antagonism that lives for years. When you speak of this light to people, if they ask you about it, say, very well, I will give you the best I can, but remember, we do not argue the question. This good messenger took that stand from his earliest experience, and he has never argued with a human being and never will, because nothing comes from it but disorder. If you will call the radiance from your presence, people will inquire about what they feel, and then in that kindly radiance of the power from your presence, they will listen. That is the proper attitude to take in the dispensing of this light to people. Therefore I thank you, gentlemen, with all my heart. My love and blessings pour out to you, and my substance pours out to you to give you your blessing. May I hold your hand until the victory of the light finds its full victory in America, and you become the vanguard and have for your eternal friends, the ascended masters of light. I thank you. Discourse 13-328 December 18, 1938 Los Angeles, California Shrine Class Gentlemen and Friends of America, I greet you in the name of life, in the name of love, wisdom, and power, which it is your privilege to call into action to beautify and perfect yourself and your world as no thing in the world that has ever come to the understanding of mankind can do. As you are listening today, and I say this to the friends of America as well as those present, that in your privilege of calling life into action, remember you are dealing with the power of the universe, your life. You have not known this, but as you come to understand your connection with the presence of all life, in its mightiest concentration of action, then you, by your determination and your attention, may call forth this concentration of life, intelligence, and power to take command of yourselves and your worlds, produce its perfection, and hold its dominion there. Only as you come to understand this full power of life of which you are the outpicturing, that which animates your body is this life we are talking about, and that power which beats 311. 312 The I am 99 Discourses your heart, then you will understand you cannot be disconnected from it and retain your physical body. Therefore, you are connected constantly and eternally with the presence of all life, and when I say eternally, I mean just that. Could you see from our standpoint the unlimited activity of life, all that has been actually achieved within the borders of your America in the past year alone? You would rejoice with us and have the greatest encouragement in the world to go on in your call to life in its dauntless power to release that greater life, wisdom, power, and action into your world and into the requirements of America. Gentlemen, only as you reach our state some day in the future, will you see how mankind have come today into an understanding of the principle, power, and action of life that they can call into action to remedy these conditions. Mankind have tried to remedy them through physical force, but I tell you it is never permanent. It is not an eternally sustained activity, but only produces temporary results. But when you call the presence and power of life into action, you are not only anchoring to that, but you are, by the power of the very life itself which beats your heart, calling its intensification into action. If you understand thoroughly that your call to life causes to be set into action a mighty light ray. Discourse 13:313, which is intelligence and energy in focused power of direction, focused upon a given objective, it will produce definite, harmonized results and bring about divine order and divine justice. Today in your America, divine order and divine justice are certainly needed. Therefore, if you will make this call to life, and it does not require a vast understanding of this activity of life in order to make this call, friends of America, I speak to you directly when I say this, try to make the call to life. I assure you that your presence, that focalized activity of life which is your mighty I am presence, is above you, and its ray of light and energy beats your heart. Therefore, I say to you, if you will make the call, not with doubts and questionings, but with the sincerity and desire to find out, to have released into your body, your world of action, proof that the presence is there, there is not one in human form who cannot have that proof at their call. For after all, the presence of life that animates your body is the controlling, governing presence and intelligence of the universe, once mankind come to understand it. But mankind have believed that physically they were the power, or that their physical bodies were the power and their intellect the authority for the action of life. In that, they have been greatly mistaken. 3:14 The I am 99 Discourses the power and presence of life acting through that intellect and human form is the power, is the authority. Therefore, gentlemen and friends of America, as you come to recognize this you will see at least logically, that there is no limit to the presence of life, which it is your privilege to call forth. Only as mankind still yield to the belief that they are limited and that there is cause for the pressure upon the human form and a power to limit them, will they longer experience it. I say to the fellow students, your ability is complete today in dissolving from your world at your call to the presence of life, everything that has limited you or seemed to bind you. And if you will take the full acceptance of that and no longer through the feeling, many times unknown to the intellect, give power to the conditions that seem to have been limiting in the past, you will not continue to experience them today. Therefore, I say to you as you try this out, be firm, be determined to prove it right rather than allow the human intellect to try to prove it wrong, for no one in the universe can prove life wrong, and that is all we are dealing with. That is all we are talking about. When you realize that mankind in their inconceivable number of beliefs have not contacted that which was reality, and they have met so many. Discourse 13:315 Disappointments, still they build and build and build that human sense of limitations which has drawn them into the condition that they find themselves in today. Now, you would perhaps think it strange when the simple word belief, and mankind have used it so much, but do you know, friends of America and gentlemen, what that word will do to you? Belief is an uncertainty and is the full indication of uncertainty within the minds of mankind. With life, with us, there is no such thing as belief. It is the knowing power of life which we are and which we are humbly endeavoring to convey to you, and in your determination and attention to life, you become that knowing power, or in other words, life becomes that knowing power through you, which dissolves and pushes aside, as it were, all of the human accumulation that has been what you understand as belief. But today, fast is being dissolved this belief attitude of mankind throughout the Americas. Therefore, in the activity that has begun already in the dissolving of the human substance from the atmosphere of Earth, that sounds perhaps nebulous to you, but it is very tangible, friends of America and gentlemen. You are dealing with substance every moment of life. And this substance has been qualified by mankind and has charged the 3:16 The I am 99 Discourses atmosphere of Earth, filled it, so to speak, until you today are actually moving under its pressure, unless you have understood the presence of life in order to dissolve, so far as your individual world is concerned, that which has been the pressure upon you. There have been thousands of the students today who have been able to do this, but many remain who are still feeling this sense of limitation and pressure. It only requires a little more determination and firmness upon their part to the presence of life to have it completely dissolved. Then they move forward in the presence of life, without limitations, in the full confidence of their own presence of life, the owner and director of all that they require to produce happiness and perfection in their world, or perfection in the human octave. Therefore, gentlemen, call to be dissolved all belief that is in your feeling world, so that the presence of life may take its command of your intellect, of your feeling world, and raise you into the full power of its action while you still remain in the human octave. Within the compass of your physical body. Your physical bodies are but a garment which you are wearing, and the presence of life is the power of life, of light, of energy, of intelligence. Although mankind have believed that they were limited in the intelligence they were using, still. Discourse 13-334. That is not the case. The presence of life, which beats your heart, whose intelligence is without limit, stands ready, and has at all times, to pour the greater activity of itself into your intellect, through your body, out into your world of action, first to harmonize it. Then you stop the qualification acting from within your feeling world and allow the full power and presence of life to flow forth. It is not a hair-raising activity to call the presence of life forth, but a great, calm determination that brings the greater and greater release of life to flow forth through your body and out into your world. As you understand the need of the harmonization of your world, then you will find in your call, greater and greater power and speed of action of this presence of life, the most practical thing in the universe, will flow forth, take command of your activity, your world of action. Then you will see how readily, how easily, and how perfectly it goes forth, just so naturally. Gentlemen and friends of America, remember that life in itself is the most practical thing in the universe. There is nothing strange or mystical about it, but since you are breathing every moment, that is the action of life, since your heart is beating, giving action to your body, that is the presence of life. Therefore, you need not myself nor anyone to prove. 3:18 The I am 99 discourses to you anything, but simply to call your attention to the presence of life that is acting within you. It is not limited and lacks no intensity of itself but through your beliefs, which I am asking you to call to be dissolved. Then you will have removed the obstruction to the full, pure, powerful outpouring of life to take command of your world of action. That is all that is required. Life in itself carries perfection, is never less in itself, and knows nothing else, but since other things have manifested in your life, they come alone through human qualification. That is an action of your feeling world, which is enveloping you, therefore, you have been giving it attention. You have been believing that it was the condition existing and was what had prevented you from having the sufficient outpouring of life that would harmonize and produce its full perfection for you. This is the condition. It is practical, gentlemen and friends of America, the most practical thing in the world. Therefore, as you understand how to give obedience by continued harmony in your feeling world, will you find the outpicturing of it comes with greater and greater intensity each day at your call. I call to your attention the experience of the messenger to whom I am flashing these words. In 4 years, the power or intensity of the action of Discourse 13-319 life flowing forth through him at his call is perhaps 50 times greater than it was 4 years ago, and the student body all realize and see that. Therefore, the momentum of life, when given the opportunity, will again take and hold its dominion through mankind, through the human form of every individual who will willingly and joyfully call it forth into action, and this is the point upon which so much hinges. Gentlemen and friends of America, you might think it incredible that this presence of life, which gives action to your body, would not come forth of its own volition and produce its perfection for you, regardless of your outer attitude toward it. Well, the proof stands before you in mankind's limitations that something has been missing, and that is mankind's understanding that they must make their calls hourly, daily to life by the power of their attention. Giving it the full authority and power to come forth and act through the human form, and therefore remove the belief that all life was just in the human form. It is, but the greater part of it is above you and flows through, and without your having cleared the channel for life to flow through your bodies, your intellect, and out into your world with a sufficient intensity, you will remain in the same conditions, gentlemen and friends of America, that 320 the I am 99 discourses you are in today. Since you have seen the change in the messengers, in their great determination and intensity to call forth this blessing and perfection to mankind, then you have the evidence before you that this power of life does answer your call, does intensify its action through the human form to produce these definite, mathematical results at the call of the individual. Therefore, as you stand today in your position to life, and it matters not one particle what your position is, how humble it seems to be, if you will begin today to give your attention to the presence of life that is above you, knowing its ray of light and energy beats your heart. Then as you keep calling with firm determination to have more of its perfection, more of its commanding presence flow forth into your world of action, I say to you, friends of America, there is not one person living in human form who cannot prove the truth of these words to himself. If mankind will not do it themselves, they will have to do without it, because life has waited throughout the centuries for mankind to know their source, then by their own authority, to call it into action. For gentlemen and friends of America, remember, you are the decreer of your world, you are the decreer, the determiner as to how that energy is going to act for you which flows through your body. Discourse 13:321 You cannot call it forth without it going through your body, for the majority of the action in the perfecting of yourself and your world, that energy of life has to flow through your body. Those are 2 points that must definitely be understood. You can call the light rays forth through your presence, under the direction of your higher mental body, to produce magnificent results. But when you come to the perfecting of your bodies and your immediate world of action and environment, that energy, gentlemen and friends of America, has to flow largely through your human form. That is how and why God does for you what God does through you. Remember that God does not act independently of your life stream so far as your individual world is concerned. God, which is the mighty I Am Presence, acts at your call. Friends of America and gentlemen, remember that you in your previous understanding of the Godhead or principle of life, or whatever you called it, divine intelligence, still is that acting only through its greater intensity at your call and by the power of your attention. You must understand this if you want to have a greater power of life flow forth to perfect your world and yourself. Therefore, as you try this out, notice from the beginning of your calls the change that will take place. 322 The I Am 99 Discourses in your feeling world, the confidence that will come in the power and presence of that life you are speaking to. Remember, your higher mental body, acting from your presence of life, is an all-powerful intelligence and is not limited. As you speak to it to give you freedom, to give you supply, it sends forth its mighty light rays which are directing intelligence to harmonize and govern conditions in the human octave that bring, through natural sources, your supply and your release from the conditions that have made you unhappy. Now, this is definite, it is powerful. All of us who have freed ourselves from the human conditions, through the purifying of the physical body and drawing it into the ascension, have been the authority for ages, but until I brought forth this knowledge to mankind recently, mankind have not understood. The great number of mankind in America today are profiting so greatly by this understanding, and hundreds of thousands are daily proving the truth of my words which I have brought forth to them. It is proof to the entire world that mankind have at last contacted the true source of life and how to bring it into action. Knowing a thing is good, but to know how to apply it is still greater and more powerful. I am sure you will agree with me that I have not left one thing. Discourse 13:323 Unexplained in the books which have been put forth through the messenger, the explanation of life, the experiences of the messenger, and why these things are true. All of these things are explained, and in the later books which carry the discourses of the great ones, those words are cups that carry the quality which they indicate, into the world of the individual. Gentlemen and friends of America, let me at this moment fix your attention and your anchorage of life so firmly upon this point. You have not understood that words carry substance, carry vibration, therefore as you read these words of the ascended beings who are free, all-powerful, perfect beings, then their words carry the substance charged with the perfection of their world into your world for action. Please feel that every moment your attention is given to them, they are charging your world with the quality of their action, which is naturally freedom and perfection. But you have not, until this came forth, ever known that your feeling world was the power, the action that was obstructing your way. Therefore, as you go forward into the greater action of life, will you steadily and surely see and, by your own application, prove that even though you have gone on in these limitations through the many ages in which you have lived, still today and so comparatively short. 324 The I Am 99 Discourses a Time, can you alter, can you change, can you rectify all those mistakes that have not been intentional, but through the lack of understanding of the presence of life? Heretofore, all that bore upon the greater understanding of life has been made more or less mysterious. Try to realize in life there is not one thing mysterious. Therefore, when you begin to feel how practical life is, you will naturally want to reach forth more and more. And let me explain to you at this point, gentlemen and friends of America, when you want something in the physical world, you reach forth your hand to accept it, do you not? Therefore, as you reach forth from your feeling world, your desire world, for greater perfection, it is as though from the inner standpoint you reached forth your hands and drew into your feeling world that great perfection which is there before you and with which all activity of life is charged. Therefore, I ask you to try it out, to experiment in your calls to life, and if you do not succeed with the full desire in the beginning, keep on trying. In your outer world of action, if you did not succeed at first, you probably, if you wanted to succeed, would keep on trying, wouldn't you? When you were lads in school, if you gave up on something that confronted you because it was a little difficult, you did not. Discourse 13:325 succeed in it, therefore, it is the same in all activity of life in its greater capacity. If you will stand firm and unyielding in your call to life, it will answer you, I tell you friends of America and gentlemen, without exception, because it is life in itself which is the compelling power. Now, let me show you why life is not only ready but is compelled to answer your call. What is it, gentlemen and friends of America, that makes the call? What is it that enables you to formulate the words that make the call? Is it not life? Is it not intelligence which is in life that enables you to make the call? Then after all, the conditions that are acting within life are intelligence, life, energy. Therefore, if you want more of it, you have to look where the supply is, don't you? If you wanted money in the outer world, you would not go to a garage, would you? You would probably go to a bank where it is, or to your deposit boxes, for these days it is quite evident that mankind have ceased to hide money and place it within the earth where they sometimes forget where to find it. Today, life is producing for you, and is the treasure house of the universe. Gentlemen, please listen carefully, and friends of America, you are looking in the outer world everywhere to persons, places, and conditions as your 326 The I am 99 Discourses supply, when your presence of life is the only supplier that there is in this world. It uses channels, there is no question about that, gentlemen and friends of America, but look, when you make the call to life, and life is governing all channels in the physical experience of life, then the great presence of life, of every one of you wants you to love each other. Wants you to have the supply you require, and wants you to understand how to bring it into action and consciously bring its release. Now then, if you do not understand the operation of it, well, it would not be surprising if you did not have it, but since we have come into the full understanding of these great laws and have applied them to our freedom, we are in a position. We are the authority to convey to you that which will enable you to become the same authority we are. We came through the same process you are going through today. Therefore, if you will allow us to help you and prompt you and give you the operation of the law by which we attained, then is there any question that you would not produce the same result? But you have to feel it, gentlemen and friends of America, you have to feel the reality of these truths. You cannot just go and feel it is a social event, another peculiar activity in which you are temporarily interested. You are dealing with life. Discourse 13:327 and I am endeavoring to convey to you its particular operation today. As you come to understand this, stand with the firmness that is required. If you were to come up to a stone wall or a concrete wall and you wanted to make a pathway through that, you would use the proper means at hand to make the opening, wouldn't you? Therefore, in life, mankind are up against this stone wall today, which is the accumulation of their own human creation. You do not realize that, from the invisible standpoint, that accumulation of substance which is yet invisible to you can be just as firm as that stone wall. That is the position mankind are finding themselves in today. Thousands have said the same, identical words, why is it I seem to be up against a stone wall and I know not which way to turn? In your call to the presence of life, that light ray from the presence of life will go forth before you and melt down that wall, even though it seemed as firm as a wall of stone. Therefore I say to you, gentlemen, call forth the power of the light rays and clear the way before you, and whatever that wall of human creation has been, it will dissolve and consume it. And the pathway, the opening before you will be filled with the power of light and with the perfection of life, because in those light rays are 328 The I am 99 Discourses the perfection of life and all it holds and contains for you. Therefore, I say to you, try this out if you will, if you want to be free. I say to you, friends of America, for the students know this, do not ever expect anything in the world to prove anything for you. Life has given you the opportunity throughout the centuries, and mankind today have to prove these things for themselves. We are teaching you and showing you how to do it. If you are as firm and determined as we were, you will have no difficulty in proving these great laws to yourself, and that is the only thing that amounts to anything for you. I might show you magnificent things that might be of mighty encouragement, on the other hand, it might be of less encouragement because some of the things I might produce for you might be discouraging from the fact that you might think it was so far beyond your reach, yet it is not. Remember, everything we do, gentlemen and friends of America, is by the action of life. All the seeming so-called miracles that have ever been performed in life are the natural action of life, but so-called miracles because they were not understood. But today, in the clearing of the understanding of mankind, you have found the clearness, the power, the action of life, and as you call it into action more. Discourse 13:329 and more firmly, will you find the clearness of your understanding and your comprehension clearing each day until you will not only feel its reality, but by the clearness which is the all-seeing eye of God acting through your feeling. Will you see and know the reason for its action? Therefore, I say to you today, try out this law. Call to your presence of life, as never before and stand unyielding, determined to have its greater perfection and action come forth through your body and into your world, and see how quickly you will prove these great laws of life in their simplicity, majesty, and power, and the blessing of their action in your life. We, who have that great freedom today, realize what it means. You who have not attained it yet cannot possibly know the fullness of it. But since you believe I am real, and I am saying this to the blessed ones present, since I am real, although still invisible to you, then you must understand that the power which I use to assist you is also yet invisible, but one day will become as visible and tangible as your own physical bodies. Because as your physical vibratory action is lifted, raised into the clearer and greater understanding of life, then that which today is invisible to you will become as visible and tangible as your physical bodies are today. 330 The I am 99 Discourses that is the natural action of life, and you have it before you in the airplane propeller and your electric fans. You see them standing still in perfectly tangible form, but in the full speed of action you do not see them, at least you do not see the form, but you have the fullness of their action which is the propelling power. It is so with all life. As you increase its intensity, it lifts the vibratory action of your physical structure until you see it. For instance, I say to you, friends of America, and to those gentlemen present who are students, if you saw from our standpoint the difference of their vibratory action today and 6 months ago, you would understand clearly and forever just what I am talking about. The vibratory action of those in the room, by their attention to the presence of life, is so much greater in its intensity than it was 6 months ago, that to me it is quite as tangible as your physical bodies. Therefore in the step up, as you use the term in electrical parlance, you raise the vibratory action. That is what all of life is asking you to do today in giving your attention to life, which makes a mighty magnet. Let me draw you an illustration of how the natural activity of life, through your attention to the presence of life, operates through your physical. Discourse 13:331 Body, therefore in your world of action, you take a magnet and put the point of it up, and you have before you the representation of the exact action of life acting through the human form. If you were to place a magnet within your physical body, points up, front and back, you would feel and see and have before you the exact illustration of that which life had intended mankind to use. That is why we have urged all mankind in their use of the energy of life to draw it down into action in the human form to the heart level, then pass it back to the presence of life, which is the cleansing, purifying activity of life. Then in its power of reaction and return, it will make you the full power of the action of life in and through the human form. If your stream of energy flowing into the body is wasted through anger, through abnormal sex activity, or whatever it is, that releases the feeling and sends the energy down and out of the physical body, and you cannot restore that. You have not returned to life that which life has given you. Therefore, as you understand this, that your physical body is a magnet to life, drawing down its mighty currents of energy, and if understood properly, sending them back in their mighty action to life, then you will have fulfilled the action of life in returning to life. 332 The I am 99 Discourses that which it has given you, which will cause life to release greater and greater forces and power and substance into your world of action that will produce its exact, mathematical perfection for you. All this is practical, gentlemen and friends of America, there is not one thing about the understanding of life that is not practical. That is why we as ascended beings are the most practical beings in the world, and why, having passed through the life experience of mankind in human forms, we understand your problems. We understand your conditions and have gained the freedom from them, and know exactly how to go about it to set you free. If you will give obedience to the few things we ask, which is not obedience to us, but obedience to your life to give you freedom, you will understand how very practical we are. Remember, gentlemen and friends of America, you have never heard me or the messengers ask your obedience to one single thing, because the only obedience mankind should give is to life. When you do give full, complete obedience to life, gentlemen, life will flood your world with every good thing. You have heard so much talk, perhaps not just recently, but in the few years past, about cooperative activity. Well, the first cooperation with anything should be with your presence of life, and unless Discourse 13:333 you cooperate with your presence of life, it is impossible to cooperate harmoniously with your fellow man. Now, gentlemen and friends of America, see another practical point of this: when you give obedience to life, you are certain, absolutely certain to give obedience to outer requirements and to give your blessings to your fellow man. Because obedience to life means harmony in your feelings and towards your fellow man and the conditions which you meet in the outer world. There is no condition that warrants a fighting attitude, because that is disturbance. That is interfering with the calm serenity of your feeling world through which life flows to produce what you require. That has nothing to do, gentlemen, with firmness. You can be as firm as the rock of Gibraltar, yet your feeling world as calm as a mill pond. That is the difference between a fighting feeling in your attitude towards something you disagree with, or the feeling of calm determination to know the truth about it. That is why today, you as students of this great light are in an enviable position to all mankind, because you know what life requires, and you know as you gain greater obedience to that life, it not only will but is compelled to produce its perfection in 334 the I Am 99 Discourses your world of action. I want you to see today, gentlemen, how life is the compelling force in itself. Your attention to life compels life to express its greater perfection through you and in your world, because what is your attention? Life, isn't it? Then your attention to life is the compelling power that compels life to release a greater action of itself into your outer world of action through your intellect and through your human form. Therefore, I say to you, can you see anything so practical in all the world of action as that which is your own life? Gentlemen, through your stream of life that beats your heart has come everything that exists in the physical world today. You think, and many of mankind have felt very proud of their intellectual concepts, their discoveries, their perfection that they have brought forth, especially in the machinery world, but I say to you, gentlemen, every engine, every motor, every power vehicle, every manifestation of form in the physical octave today came through the stream of life and energy of some human being. It came forth as an idea, then it was made a blueprint, then the substance gathered to make that form complete. Whether it is an automobile, whether it is a building, a home, or whatever it is, still through that great stream of life has come. Discourse 13:335 the power and the energy by which all manifestation is in the physical world today. Gentlemen and friends of America, if you see this point, if you realize what it means, then you will understand that you are not one of you, any longer limited in the greater intensity of that perfection of life which you can call forth to manifest in your individual world. I want you to see that, if you will. It is very practical and it is the mightiest truth in the universe. There is not one thing, there is no human being that can deny it. Therefore assert your dominion, gentlemen, in your attention to life will know that there is not one thing that can longer stand before you in the mighty power of its action and its perfection which it will pour forth and flood your world of action with. To know that this presence is there is beautiful, but to command, by the presence of life, its all-powerful action to take charge of your body and world, is still a greater action and the completion of the action and call to life. Therefore, as you stand today in the fullness of your life, and think of it, gentlemen and friends of America, you stand today in the presence of life, just as you always have stood. Think of it, and yet you have not understood how to accept the greater fullness of life which you can have at any. 336 the I Am 99 Discourses moment, gentlemen and friends of America. Life does not limit you. Energy does not limit you. Intelligence does not limit you. Then what has happened? Mankind's belief in outer powers has caused them to limit themselves, and nothing else. Therefore, as you turn to life, give all you are back to life, then will life pour all of itself into your body and into your world of action. Then shall you see the great blessing which life is always holding for you. Only when your attention goes back home to life, will you feel the fullness and the practical action of it that will bring that great blessing into your world. Remember, you who are compelled to choose what you are going to do with this energy, if you waste it in destructive activities, then you cannot have it for the constructive thing. If you want to have the constructive activity of life, you will pass the currents of energy back to life, then see how life will produce its perfection in your body, through your body, and in your world of action in all its practical powers that the outer world calls practical today. In your mechanics there is not one thing more practical than life itself, for what has produced your mechanics? What has produced all these things today? What has produced this piano and all these things? Life. Therefore, gentlemen, think how. Discourse 13:337 Practical life is. You are not dealing with anything uncertain. You are not dealing with anything that life cannot produce for you. If there is any feeling in your world, of life being mysterious, of that which you have been expressing so far, being mysterious, please dismiss it. Oh, I want you to be so free in this mighty application of life, and since we are doing certain preparatory work for this coming class, gentlemen, enter in with all the joy and happiness at your command. Do not think I am unaware of your magnificent action, your magnificent power, energy, and substance released during the 6 months that the messengers have been away. Feel my gratitude to every one of you for every ounce of energy you have released for the blessing and the protection of America. I know it is not easy to comprehend, unless you saw from our standpoint all that is required, but I tell you, gentlemen, it is magnificent what has been accomplished. Seeing what has been accomplished in the past 6 months, then can any of you tell me what can be accomplished in the coming 6 months? Oh, think of it. Think of it, gentlemen, in the great struggle, and I use that word appropriately on this occasion because you have seen your own physical struggles in the endeavor to draw forth the greater perfection of life, and you have not succeeded as. 338 I am 99 discourses much as you would like. But I tell you frankly, that in the condition that has been removed from your America and from your world of action, will you find it easier and easier to bring forth the answer to your calls. I want you to feel that your application is invincible. It is, gentlemen. Don't yield to any other thought or feeling, and if you have not had the full answer to your application you would like, be firmer, be more determined to have it. Whatever there is in your world of accumulation, with that greater firmness and determination you will beat down that wall and shatter it completely, until the fullness of life flowing forth through and into your world will find no obstruction, will find no requalification. That is why in this coming class, it will be the greatest ever in the experience of the messengers or yourselves, because enormous preparation from our standpoint is being made. We are determined, as the Goddess of Light told those in Long Beach, with your complete cooperation with us, to free every earnest, sincere student from every financial limitation that has ever beset him or her. Gentlemen, why do I refer to this financial activity? Well, I am not materially minded, that is certain, but you know and I know that complete ease cannot. Discourse 13:339 Come and does not come, it is not that it could not come, but it ordinarily does not come to mankind, without a certain sense of financial freedom. While you are standing, gentlemen, don't mind it for a few minutes, because I want to charge the currents of energy through your bodies and your feeling worlds to endeavor to help you to free yourselves from this feeling that any condition in the outer world can limit you. Please do not accept that thing any longer. I tell you, gentlemen, it cannot do it. There is no set of circumstances in the world of human creation that can longer limit you, if you will only throw it aside. Feel and know your power of life that flows through your body and beats your heart is the dominion in your life at your call, and please feel that there is no person, place, or condition that can interfere with you or limit you. I know mankind have been so charged with that unhappy belief that persons, places, or conditions could limit them. Well, it is not true. It certainly does have an appearance, but it is not true. Therefore, as you say to yourself constantly, why, it is ridiculous that there is anything that could limit anything in my acceptance of my great presence of life, which is the governing intelligence of the universe. It is not true and I refuse. 340 I am 99 discourses acceptance of it, do that in your feeling, gentlemen. Oh, don't try to do these things with just the intellect, because it is only partially done, but when you follow up your action of the intellect with your feeling, it becomes the commanding presence of life acting through your physical body, and it will repel everything that is limiting you. Whether it is persons, places, or conditions. I say to you that you have seen the messengers overcome the most seemingly gigantic obstacles of human conditions that were ever poured forth to human beings, and they do not affect them. You must see this, therefore it is proof to you, gentlemen, that what I have given you is true. If they can do it, so can you. They are the proof to the whole world that they do surmount these obstacles and have released the energy of life that goes forth to produce these conditions. Gentlemen, I wish for 10 minutes you could see from our standpoint the conditions that have taken place and the answers to the messenger's calls during the past 6 months. Hundreds of instantaneous answers to their calls have come forth for the individuals in these conditions. Gentlemen, one moment while you are standing, I want you to realize that these conditions of the Discourse 13-341 outer world have no power over you. You must know that definitely. Remember, when the messengers were here before in the last shrine class, the most diabolical attempt was made, before those black magicians were seized, to spread over mankind the uncontrollable sex desire, and people who had not been touched by it for years found it demanding action. That has largely disappeared, and will disappear more and more as that substance is dissolved and consumed from the earth. Now then, the last lash of those, well, there is only one thing to call them, gentlemen, those fiends who sought the destruction of mankind. The last lash of that was to throw financial fear over the entire people of America. I say to you, students of the light, don't yield to that appearance. Don't yield to it. Stand with greater firmness than ever in your life and say, I refuse acceptance of that thing. Mighty I am presence, you are my treasure house and you govern all channels in this universe and in the world. In America is a limitless abundance of money and everything that everyone in America requires today, therefore, that shall be held in divine order and divine distribution among the people of America. Stand firm and unyielding in that. There are no people in your government, no people in official. 342 The I am 99 discourses places that have authority or power to deprive mankind any longer of their supply of money they require for use. Please be seated. Every one of you individually who might feel a greater financial pressure or limitation, say to that thing, you lie. You are not true, therefore, you have no power. Get out of my world. Mighty I am presence, charge and fill my world with the limitless supply of money from your treasure house, and I refuse acceptance of anything else. Gentlemen, as you take that firm stand, you will find everything in the outer world yielding to that release of the money supply you require. I tell you, gentlemen, that this thing shall cease, it shall not affect these beloved students. Since life has offered and gives everything now that it has, to the earnest individual who will give undivided attention to it, then tell me, is there any condition in the outer world that can affect or deprive you of anything you require in the service of the light? Remember, gentlemen, every condition that has ever existed in the world in opposition to the students of the light has been reversed. Therefore, I say to you, gentlemen, in your determination to your presence of life, if you feel a little added pressure, call to some one of us. We are your friends and, if I do say it, the greatest friends. Discourse 13-343 you ever had. Now then, gentlemen, every one of us who wants to help you, knows how to manipulate these laws to do it. Will you do us the kindness to make your firmest, most powerful application, then turn to us and say, blessed Anisi I am doing my utmost. Now give me the assistance in my feeling world to bring about this release. And by George, it will be done. Thank you, gentlemen. You know, I actually believe that you are feeling my reality. Well, I am determined to prove to you, every one of you, how very real I am. Not only that, but I tell you, when we have gained the accomplishment this far, do you think I will not reach into the heart of all that is, to bring forth the assistance to you blessed ones that you may have the victory of life? You know, it is one thing to have a good weather friend, but it is far more to have a friend in stormy weather and remember, I am your stormy weather friend. Don't let anything frighten you, gentlemen. It doesn't make any difference how much the wolf howls around your environment, you know how to bring forth that light ray that will shut up that howl. Remember, gentlemen, your greatest weapon in this universe today or that ever will be, is the power of those mighty light rays. 344 The I am 99 discourses called forth from your presence under the direction of your higher mental bodies. Gentlemen, won't you please feel today your higher mental body who supplies energy to your body, who operates every organ in your body? You don't think about it, do you, unless something gets out of order? You just accept it, and the higher mental body does operate every organ in your body. Of course, if you were harmonious enough, every organ would operate perfectly. Just think of it, if all conditions, all the organs in your body were acting normally, you would never have an abnormal appetite. Think of it, you know how hungry you get sometimes. Well, that might seem natural, you may have taken unusual physical exercise. But, gentlemen, let me assure you, that is the cry of the atomic structure in your body through habit. The day I found in my experience of long ago, of course, it is a long time since I ate, and long before my ascension, I often said to my associates, "Has any man ever seen me eat?" I would not advise you to go without eating, but to govern or control abnormal appetites is a desirable thing. When you call the greater harmony, power, and action of your presence to govern your physical body, then will these abnormal desires dissolve and disappear. I ask you, gentlemen, because now in preparation. Discourse 13:345, and during this class we are entering into very definite, powerful action. If you should feel a very great desire for food, please govern it and just say, "Hold on now, you just take it easy." And govern putting too much food in your stomach during this time and the remainder of this class. Don't go hungry, I don't mean that at all, but govern the amount of food so you are in the best condition possible for the perfect activity which we are bringing into action in this class. There has never been anything like it. We began the work the other night in Long Beach and will continue this in the group meetings before the class begins. Gentlemen, I am going to ask you, you know I seldom do ask a favor, but during this shrine class, will every one of you take it upon yourselves to watch throughout the audience and call the usher's attention to disturbance of any kind? So that any person who comes in just solely to create disturbance may be removed quickly. We want to do a great work, and we do not want people to come in just to try to create disturbance or ridicule or anything of that kind, because if they do that, they don't belong there. We are going into definite action, so if you will make yourself a committee of one to watch and stand guard over that thing so it will be governed. 346 The IM99 discourses, we will appreciate it tremendously, and you will be the beneficiaries of all that comes through. I do not ask you to be unreasonable with anyone, but stand guard and watch that the greatest possible harmony is maintained in this class. In Washington, I surprised the messenger very much by clearing out those who refused to give obedience in the audience. I will admit they were surprised, too. But I tell you, the body of students now is great enough that people should understand that unless they come, we do not ask them to accept it, but they should at least come and kindly and harmonize themselves, that is all we ask. Everyone who will do that is so welcome, but the vicious individuals must be kept out of this class if I have to go out and hunt them out myself, for we wish to do a work never before attempted. Will you please understand that and with the fullness of your great love and kindness, accept that into your world? Gentlemen, it is the greatest thing in the universe to have us who are your friends, who know how to govern these laws of life to project into your feeling world that substance, that governing, commanding presence of life which you need today to give you the assistance required. Well, mankind would be helpless, gentlemen, without us. You may not see that or understand it, but I assure you, there is not. Discourse 13:347 1 out of 100,000 in America or the world today that can govern their feeling world sufficiently, long enough to let the perfection of life come forth, without our assistance. As the substance of earth discordantly qualified by mankind is dissolved and consumed, then that will be a tremendous universal help to individuals, and that is why our gratitude is so very great to you, gentlemen, in your gratitude and love that pour forth to us and the messengers. I am going to say something in closing today, we have never mentioned, but you have seen how the messengers in their great outpouring of divine love have called forth the divine love from within individuals. You all have seen that. Never in the history of the earth has such great power of divine love been poured forth to any individuals as has been to those two messengers, and no one has ever received such great hate by a few, but that is very small in comparison with the great divine love that has poured forth. Gentlemen, could you see the cause of that, then you would know that love is releasing you steadily and surely from everything that has bound you throughout the centuries. You, of course, must watch out that you do not qualify that outpouring of divine love with human desires. That power in its 348 The IM99 discourses blessing to mankind is the greatest privilege of mankind today. Therefore, as you keep releasing greater and greater power of its action, you have swung wide the doors to your mighty I Am presence, to its mighty intelligence, to its treasure house to fill your world with every good thing you require. Please, gentlemen, carry that with you today, the firm determination, the firm command from this moment forth, not one thing of the human world of human creation can limit you in any sense. Take your firm, determined stand in that, and I will assure you, you will agree with me ere long that I have told you the truth. I am going to stand by you until you find that freedom. Remember again, persons, places, conditions, or positions, I mean employment positions, have nothing to do with your supply. You have been prone to believe that you had to have a certain kind of position, but your presence of life, as the mighty directing intelligence, will place you in your right activity, and there is not anything that can say no to you under the direct power of your presence. Please feel it is the authority, and whatever the outer conditions of mankind are manifesting, still they have no authority over your world, over you. Won't you feel that? I thank you with all my heart for the clear Discourse 13:349 comprehension that is within you today. I know you all feel that greater firmness, that greater determination, and that greater clearness of comprehension of these simple laws, which will enable you to set them into action with a firm power and determination that brooks no interference from any source whatsoever. That is what I want you to feel. I am going to be with you very much more in this class, since I have accomplished much I had desired in Europe and have greater freedom from that requirement now, then I shall be with you every day, and we shall carry out this determination of today. I thank you and bless you with the fullness of the perfection of life. Thank you so much. DISCOURSES 367 December 31, 1938 Los Angeles, California Shrine Class. Beloved ones of the light, we are not supposed to be at a loss for words. Yet tonight I find words quite inadequate to convey to you our great love and gratitude for your magnificent service of the past year that is just vanishing into the perfection of the next. Rejoice with me, when thus far in your beloved city, through the class broadcasts, we have just completed a count of 1 million whose attention has been called to this mighty presence of life. There are gentlemen present in the audience who will appreciate my next words tremendously. A guard has been thrown around every governor of every state in the Union, and within that guard, no discarnate entity will ever again enter. That means great victory of divine order and divine justice for your states and the cities within those states. We told you 6 months ago that we entered into definite action. I mean that and everything at 350. Discourse 12:351 conveys, for your government is going to change. All political intrigue and deception shall vanish from your America. All the political influence that has been brought to bear upon honest, sincere individuals, will no longer have power. A guard as never before has been placed over all official places in your government, and the influence which has been trying to gain power and authority shall lose it and disappear. In all the ages past, you have been defenders of the right, you have been defenders of the light. Now you are entering as never before, even in all the time you have lived, into the magnificent glory of a service which is indescribable to the human sense. In this power of light for divine order and justice, the messenger has touched just a little of it. We have witnessed some of the most magnificent achievement among the students in the past 30 days. I shall see that they report it to the messenger. I want you blessed ones to know that what has been attempting to influence and deprive the students, has also lost its power and is vanishing. I take this opportunity of conveying this information to you before you enter the new year, for I don't want to see one of you dragging along any barnacles. 352 The I am 99 Discourses how I rejoice with you, beloved ones of the light, and when you see the achievement that is before you. When you realize the truth that we have uttered, that all destructive forces are losing their complete power over mankind, then you will quite realize the service that has been rendered America the past 6 months. Remember, children, you are the victory of light. As your beloved sang that song, beloved victory stood here in his majesty and power and, I say frankly, charged into your feeling world a power of victory that I have not seen thus far. As you accept this into your feeling world, please watch and stand guard to allow nothing to interrupt or interfere with that by your human effort. If you will sustain that a short time, it will begin to act automatically in your feeling world, and you will find a sustaining power you never knew was there. He has done this intentionally tonight to give you the victory in entering into the new year and into the new world. Does that sound a little bit strange, since you find yourself moving around in the same environment? Oh, no. No, my dear ones, your own new world is wholly independent of your environment, just remember that. In everything that confronts you in the future. Discourse 12:353 Remember the victory of the light in you. Stand steady, serene, and calm, and see the victory of the light. Oh, how many in the coming year will find their heart's great desire being fulfilled? Oh, my dear ones, it is so wonderful for mankind once again to be entering into that freedom, glory, and victory which life wishes them to have. Ere long, you will all understand and be grateful to the law of your life that brought you into contact with this great understanding of the mighty I Am. Ladies and gentlemen, may I inform you tonight, I seldom speak of myself, but I wish you to know tonight that I have lived a very long time, I mean without changing embodiments before my ascension. I wish you to understand that in the old method of centuries past of retaining life in the body over a long, extended period, some 2, 3, 5, or 700 years were quite an ordinary thing. But do you know what that means? Instead of losing the memory of your achievement in one, you go right on through the period that would be the various embodiments, carrying with you the victory of attainment from one period to the other. Do you not see how great was that privilege? Even when I made the ascension, still have I appreciated that privilege and understanding that was. 354 The I Am 99 Discourses Mine to expand life in that body until I could perfect it. Of course, I could have perfected it a long time before I did, but in the service that I was rendering, I preferred to retain life in that body. I say to you, my determined service to the mankind of earth has placed within my hands the scepter of power over human things. And when mankind will give me their confidence enough to allow the powers which I wield to flow through their beings, their bodies, and world of action, I will quickly enough show them how the victory will act for them. You observe the humble obedience of the messengers to my slightest wish. You see the achievement, and that accounts for it. It is the greatest thing in my experience to have found two individuals who would give that instantaneous obedience and yet make the most dynamic application of life that I have ever witnessed. I thank you, beloved ones, with all my heart for that great, great love to these messengers. My dear ones, one day, perhaps within the coming year, you will understand somewhat more of all they have meant to you and to mankind. I tell you, beloved ones, you cannot quite appreciate it as I do, but when we have seen from our unlimited vision of Discourse 12:355 The earth, the forces that have tried to destroy them, I do not wonder at your great love. Now is coming your determined defense of them. Thank you. Please be seated. I was very glad to note that in the intended vicious experience in Chicago, it aroused within the student body all over America and the world, a defense that they never realized was there. It is marvelous, dear ones, to see that, for remember, these two children for 2 years had to be their own defense. You know, it is said for a long period of time that truth is its own defense, but I say, in the human octave it comes through human effort. Do not forget that, beloved ones. Your human effort in cooperation with the power of truth makes truth its own defense in the human octave. When you have a great mass accumulation of discord, it will often prevent for the time being the power of truth and of light acting, because of the human free will in the past. But today, since the human free will of vicious individuals can be taken away in the wisdom of life, then a new world has been entered into. Therefore, I say to you, remember these victories of the students. My dear ones, you will see such magnificent victories as you never dreamed possible for human beings, because it is already starting. Remember how earnestly the past 2 evenings the 356 The I Am 99 Discourses messenger has pleaded with you to be fearless in the presence of light that you call forth against human quality as children of the light. You are at the point where you can afford to be fearless, where you can stand in the light and see its victory go before you. Do not fear anything that man may do. I tell you, we shall be able to show you with this new determination and mighty power which you are calling forth, that you are the victory of the light. Tonight I want you to feel that as never before, because as we enter into the new year, I want every one of you to remember you are the victory of the light. In whatever confronts you, allow not one moment's anxiety or fear. Just stop, be still, and remember your victory of the light. Feel and see its mighty power go forth before you and see the other thing dissolve before you. You will be given assistance far beyond anything thus far. Do not lean on us, please understand that. Lean on your presence of life. Then when we observe the necessity, you can be sure we will be there. Now remember, when you have had the courage to come thus far, then you have made it possible for us, will you pardon me if I use your expression, to go to the limit. That is very apropos in this instance, for with us there is no limit. Heretofore with you there has been, at least you accepted. Discourse 12:357 It, but now you are not going to accept any more limitation. How I thank you for this opportunity to speak to you directly. Since my efforts are less required in Europe just at present, I shall hope to find the opportunity to rain upon you the golden snow of divine essence, so that each day you may absorb its beauty and perfection. Ladies, I trust in another 6 months you will not require cosmetics, but if you still should, feel no embarrassment. I want you to feel the great joy in my heart tonight, and my thanks and praise to you that the light has been strong enough within you to hold its victory in its ever-expanding activity there. Oh, beloved ones, feel my hand in yours, and let the great light rays cut you free from everything that has ever disturbed or limited you. I am observing tonight whether it is possible to say certain things to you. May I leave with you this picture tonight? You will remember the cosmic door that the Goddess of Light opened at the recital in Chicago. Every earnest, sincere one of you will enter through that door tonight. The greatest reception ever known since it was established there will be at the Royal Teton tonight. It will begin at 10 o'clock and last until 7 o'clock in the morning. A great number of the students will. 358 The IM99 discourses visit there tonight, some in their higher mental bodies, some in their etheric bodies, and they will receive the blessings. Many will continue on to the retreat in Arabia and to Shananda's home in India before their return at 7 o'clock in the morning. When you come to feel, understand, and accept these mighty activities the same as you go to your business office of the day, then you will retain the consciousness of many more of them. You have magnificent experiences while the body sleeps at night, while you are out in the higher mental body rendering the service that is required at this time. You would be surprised if you knew how many of you are rendering that great service. Oh, you know me quite well, you might not for the moment remember it, but you do. You know me quite well and you have shaken my hands many, many times. So we are not strangers, and tonight I want you to feel that definitely. We are old, old friends. I thank you tonight with all the power of light and enfold you in its presence. Escorts will be standing ready, as you put your bodies to sleep, to escort you to the Royal Teton, to the greatest conclave ever held in America. I thank you so much. DISCOURSES 376 January 15, 1939 LOSANGELES, California Radio Broadcast. Mr. Ballard, Friends of America, beloved Minutemen of Saint Germain, as beloved Saint Germain begins to talk to you today, will you feel and accept his glorious radiation, and Friends of America, remember his currents of energy go forth to you the same as to the Minutemen in this room. Therefore, if you will with the kindness of your heart accept that which he offers, you may find a blessing that will forever remain with you. Saint Germain will now begin to talk to you, and his instruction should lift you into the consciousness of your dominion of life. Beloved Saint Germain, beloved ones, since mankind has not known that there were those whom you have come to know as ascended masters, I wish to call to your attention a few things, in prefacing my remarks, that will enable you to see how far-reaching the ascended 359. 360 The IM99 Discourses Master's power is, which the Western world has given so little credit to, up until 5 years ago. Recently an article went forth in the newspaper in which unveiled mysteries was drawn to the attention of over 1 million people. This was not intended on the part of the newspapers, but was used by us, as the students have called for ascended master miracles to draw the attention of the people to the mighty I Am presence, and its mighty activity within mankind, so that they may find out that the presence of life, which has always been beating their hearts, will find its full power of action when given attention and called into action to produce its mighty so-called miracles of action, yet only miraculous because mankind has not understood that life was the only power that ever acts in anything or through anyone. Friends of America and gentlemen present, will you please understand today that all that ever acts throughout the entire world is life, its currents of energy, its strength, its intelligence and power, but since mankind have free will to qualify the energy, in other words, clothe it with the condition that is in their feeling world, then life is not responsible for mankind's mistakes. Mankind, in having forgotten the powers, the expression, the fullness of the activity of life which is actually acting every Discourse 12 361 moment within their human form, will find now that they can recall the memory gained, the understanding forgotten, and restore this into that dominion of life which has always been their birthright. Now, since you will understand that all of this is perfectly natural and is an action of your life, then listen closely to that which will follow, so that you may grasp, if even for the first time, enough of the understanding of your own life and call it into action to render its almighty service for you. According to the degree to which you are able to still your human qualities, silence them, and let the presence of life charge that quality forth which you can call forth in a greater intensity to take action through you. Then will you find all the proof that mankind desire to cause them to realize that they are standing in the presence of life. Moving in the presence of life, whose dominion beginning to operate will take charge and produce such perfection in their worlds that there will not be the slightest question in the mind of any human being that they have contacted the source of all perfection of life and its mighty directing intelligence. Since mankind has looked without for proof of all that has existed in the outer manifestation of mankind, then it is time that they begin to realize the source of it and how they may release a power. 362 The I Am 99 Discourses unparalleled in previous understanding and action, which goes forth now and takes its dominion in the world of mankind, in your industries, in your transportation, in your official activities of America. All mankind know the conditions that are existing today and the need of your America, and especially in all official places where greater divine order and divine justice should be established. This is no criticism of individuals in those places, but of a condition. Friends of America, try to feel that in all conditions in America that need to be remedied today. It is more a matter of conditions than it is of individuals' lack of understanding, sometimes called viciousness, because mankind is laboring under a pressure of human creation which few people can understand. Even among the students, so far, they don't fully realize the pressure that causes them to do things or say things at times that would be out of order according to their understanding. Friends of America who might be listening for the first time today, remember, in all the past centuries, each lifetime the accumulation has gained more pressure by the response of mankind to discordant qualities. Today you are in a position to reverse all that and have it dissolved and consumed by the power of the violet consuming flame called into action by the mighty I Am presence. Then you set Discourse 12:363 yourselves free into a harmonious feeling and action that will enable your calls to life to find immediate answers. Through that will come the proof of everything that life holds for you which every human being has throughout the centuries looked outside of himself to find proof of. Now, friends of America, whether it be in your business activity or whether it be in the fuller understanding of life, remember that all proof in the entire world that must come to you, must come through yourself so far as you and your individual world is concerned. You might see miracles so-called, performed, but it does you not one particle of good unless you have performed that so-called miracle yourself or called the presence and power of life into action to do that through you. Then you have the proof that no human being in the world can ever take away from you. If you see something performed, you might believe it for the time being and it might all be true, but when you are away from it and you begin again to feel the human pressure upon you, you will doubt its existence, no matter how true it was. That is why in my calling the attention of the great student body to the great presence of life, so many have called for my visible, tangible presence, and I do often move among mankind in my 364 The I Am 99 Discourses own tangible presence, as tangible as a physical body of anyone. Still, in the student body a definite activity has been established, and if I were to come forth in the tangible body, visible to all, they would soon begin to lean upon me as the holy guiding directing intelligence instead of calling to their presence of life for the solution of the conditions, which makes them the victory and which brings through them the entire proof of the immanent powers of life. Therefore, you friends of America who are listening today, will you understand that and will you see why? In time, the ascended masters will come forth in their tangible bodies, but until the mass of mankind have had enough proof through themselves that they know the law of life is true, we are not very apt to come forth, maybe at slight intervals, until mankind have this proof themselves. There is no thing so important today as mankind seeing, feeling, and having released through themselves this infinite proof of the power of life to bring its perfection into action in themselves and their worlds. Today, in the cleansing and purifying activity and the releasing of mankind from the habits of human desires, for instance, the condition that comes through abnormal intoxicants of every kind and the use of tobacco and various things that are not. Discourse 12:365 Conducive to the purification and perfection of life, mankind from some source must have the understanding of that which is acting upon them and within them through these continued habits. I say this to you, friends of America and minute men, know this, that whatever desire is within you that you wish to have removed, your call to the presence of life, the mighty I Am, to take out of you that desire, will enable it to be done harmoniously, oftentimes quickly and completely. Whatever action takes place through your call to the mighty I Am presence, friends of America and minute men, remember that this is a permanent thing. It will not recur to you when once it has been completely dismissed. It can be done quickly through the power of your presence, the mighty I Am, at your call. Remember that these conditions generated by your own human desires, while they are qualifying and using the energy of life, yet you have so qualified them and made them of human desires, but since you have the power to undo that in your call to life, then you can change and reverse all these conditions. This is the thing that mankind has sought throughout the centuries and in all the activities that mankind has seen. Men have traveled over the entire earth to find the means by which they could gain this great 366 The I Am 99 Discourses Understanding of Life. There have been places over the world where mankind, if their light had expanded sufficiently within them, could find it and did find it, but at what expense, at what pressure, at what attempt of the human in order to reach these places. Today, friends of America, is brought to you this same, identical understanding that mankind sought the world over to obtain, and a few did obtain it. I myself included, for instance, sought. You would never know or scarcely believe if I were to tell you how I sought for this knowledge before my ascension, and even though the endeavor was so strenuous and almost tragic in its strenuousness, yet the light within me was strong enough to win the victory through that. I say to you, minute men, today life has released you from that tremendous strain, from that tremendous pressure, and brought to you in the comforts of this room, in the comforts of your own home, this magnificent understanding of life that has been sought, and hundreds and thousands of dollars have been spent by individuals to try to secure it. Today it is brought to you without money or without price, for no one is asked for a dime. Therefore, you see the vast difference in life's action toward you, and since you should understand why this has come about, listen carefully while I explain it to you. Discourse 12-367 At the beginning 7 years ago, 2 individuals in Chicago, Mr. and Mrs. Ballard, at my direction started to give forth this work, first with 7 people. It has expanded now until over 2 million people's attention has been called to this understanding of the mighty I Am. Now listen carefully. How has this come about? Not by advertising in any manner whatsoever, but by the mighty decrees issued by the student body. As they grew from 7 to 400,000 people, these mighty decrees issued in the mental and feeling world of mankind went forth in their mighty vibratory action, touching, attuning, and lifting the consciousness of mankind by the expansion of the light within their own physical bodies and the attraction or contact with this understanding. Then came the acceptance, then the powerful application which is before them to achieve their complete dominion. This is the means by which so many have come in contact with this work, some through the radio activity, some through the transcriptions, all that has been done. Truly but the great majority of this has been done by the mighty decrees that have been sent forth by the great groups of students throughout America to touch the feeling world, the mental world of mankind, and prepare them for their contact with this work. 368 The I Am 99 Discourses You might say to me, even the minute men, how was it that we could not or did not do this sooner to bring about this greater activity? Because a sufficient number of the people had to be prepared and, to some degree, anchored within this power of the understanding of the mighty I Am, in order to hold the balance of those who entered later. You cannot imagine what it means to bring forth an understanding of life that turns many things completely upside down in the world of mankind who have not credited the existence of the ascended masters, who have not known of the mighty I Am presence, and who have sought God as a universal activity. Of course, God is a universal activity, but so is it an individual activity. Since you are the outpost of the mighty presence of God individualized, whose presence above you is the mighty I Am, then you have come home into your full understanding of your position to God, the mighty I Am. You are no longer seeking as if you would reach out in the atmosphere, blindfolded, for something that was in the room but whose position you did not understand. When you took off your blindfold, you saw the object. So today, in taking off the blindfold, which is the veil of human consciousness that has blinded. Discourse 12-369 Mankind to the presence of life, which is above them, hundreds of thousands today have come to know and feel definitely that the presence of life, individualized, is above them, and how they can call and release a power and intensity of life that has been wholly incomprehensible, wholly unknown and unbelievable until today. Enough of mankind are accepting this greater power of life in action and proving to themselves that this instruction which I have brought forth as a reality, is the greatest thing that mankind has ever known, and I do not say this egotistically, but the greatest they will ever know. Because there is no place in this universe you can find anything greater than your Oxman, presence of life. It is all there is, or that you wish to call forth into action through your human form and into your individual world of action. Therefore I say to you, friends of America and gentlemen, today you are no longer at the mercy of human conditions. You can send forth these mighty decrees which are the power of life going forth under the direction of your attention, and that will dissolve the discord. That will dissolve and consume injustice in your individual world and in America, until there will be left only the power of light, divine order, and divine justice acting through. 370 The I am 99 Discourses Human beings, acting in your industries, acting in your unemployment situation. I say to you, friends of America, be not disheartened, be not dismayed at the conditions that exist today, because it is within the power of this ever-growing, building activity of the I am called forth into action, to put every human being into their own right avenue of service. That call to life will bring about conditions that will put everyone in their own right avenue of service. If only enough of mankind will make the call to life which will bring divine order and divine justice into your world of industry and stop the condition that has deprived mankind of their own service or employment, if you are pleased to call it that, in which they could be independent. In which they could be self-serving, self-confident. Friends of America, remember, there is nothing in the world that gives mankind such confidence in themselves as being able to earn their own living, as they call it. Since life is the provider, every human being on this earth should be able to render the service that brings to him the abundance he requires for his sustenance, his shelter, his clothing, and his transportation where he wishes to go. As you call forth and continue these mighty calls, I call your attention to that which we have accomplished in the past 5 years to see how magnificent it has been. Discourse 12:371 The great changes that have taken place. Now throughout America the heads of industries are understanding this work and applying it, soon their people will come to understand, and all within the industrial activity will call forth divine order and divine justice, perfection, and perfect action of service that will make one harmonious action. Then the unemployment of America today will soon become unknown. This can only come about by their understanding of this presence and power of life, and their ability to call it into action. Let me repeat to you, I say each individual has the conscious feeling and ability to call this presence and power of life into action in its greater intensity, in its greater dominion. Therefore, as you understand this, you will see how mankind assumed the solution, and with the conditions that had existed, of course they had to fail sooner or later because there was no anchorage there, no place to which they could anchor for a sustained achievement. Even though it had been temporary achievement. I say to you, today it remains the same. Only those who have proven their sustaining power in their call to the mighty I am presence can be fully aware. You may do me the honor to believe it, but unless you prove this, friends of America, to yourselves. 372 The I am 99 Discourses You cannot understand how this can be true. Therefore, I ask you to apply this great law. You have means of finding where you can get these books and where you can understand this instruction which I have given forth. That is the law of life, there is not one human opinion in it. There is not anything but the true law of life in our understanding, and since we are the victory of that application in our freedom from human limitations and in the ascension, then today you are in a position with the same determination which urged us into its full achievement and freedom. If you will apply this understanding earnestly, with great determination in your calls to life, then you will not need me nor anybody else to tell you that life is the supreme power and intelligence acting within your human form. It will dissolve all inharmony and limitations about you and set its greater power forth into action at your call, take its command, hold its dominion, and release from the treasure house of your I am presence everything that you require. Understand, friends of America, today, why this is true. In your call to the presence of life, and in accepting it as your treasure house, which means your money supply, understand how in that, you are complying with the greatest law in the universe. Your presence is not holding so much coined gold. Discourse 12:373 or so much paper money in its possession for you, but since it is the creator, or its energy and intelligence were used to create all the coined gold and paper money that exists, then in your call and acceptance of your presence as the treasure house of your world, you have complied with the law of life that sets its mighty intelligence into action to reach out its light rays into the human octave or human world of action to bring about the conditions that will bring this release of the supply of everything you require, including money, into your action of life through divine order and divine justice. In your call to the presence of life, for supply, for happiness, courage, and strength, remember that it is the wisdom of life acting, and no inharmonious thing can possibly come to you through that call if you will stand earnestly by it. Only as you would revolve that in your feeling after you made the call, would any inharmony be produced. As you stand by your call to the presence, then its wisdom will act to bring about these conditions you require, even your supply of money. Since that is the power that all must use, I say to you friends of America who might not have experienced this, remember, you have been able to bring forth that which you actually knew should be yours. 374 The I am 99 Discourses Now the solution has been brought forth which will corroborate your feeling. You have been taught so many times through life that there should be a power, that there was a power if you only I am 99 Discourses Now the solution has been brought forth which will corroborate your feeling. You have been taught so many times through life that there should be a power, that there was a power if you only knew how to contact it, which would set you free from every condition that exists. I say to you, friends of America, you are quite right. There always has existed this almighty power of life, but mankind in their search to make the permanent contact, did not know that they had never lost it. You today must know in your presence of life above you, whose ray of light and energy beats your heart, that you have never been disconnected from this presence of life. You could not be and retain your physical body. Since you have your physical body, the proof is that you have that presence of life, sustaining it, giving it life and intelligence with which to act. Therefore, I say to you today, turn to that God presence above you and try it out. Make your earnest, sincere call to it and see how quickly will come forth the proof that you require, but be determined. Do not yield to any other feeling but that determination to have its directing intelligence, its power of sustaining activity released through your body, through your feeling world, to take its dominion and produce the perfection which you wish. And that, of course, includes everything that your Discourse 12 375 desire world can possibly require of perfection or constructive activity. As you do this, you will see and feel and know a freedom and dominion that you have never known to exist in your life, especially in this embodiment. Since this is the culmination of a period of mankind when they must be free from the long period of the wheel of birth and rebirth, then there are thousands and thousands in America today who will close their earthly pilgrimage in this embodiment. I tell you, friends of America, so that all mankind might understand what this means, if you were to look back through your life stream and see the distress, the torture which you have gone through in the lack of understanding, then I think there is not one in America today who would not wish to obtain this understanding and apply it with such determination that they have the glory and freedom which it brings. Since you have that privilege, since you are calling in your hearts and have through many years, then I urge you today to take up the glory of this understanding and to feel its full power of action flooding you and your world. Now I want to say a few direct words to the Minutemen. Friends of America, will you kindly listen and utilize it as best you can? In the full glory of those who have gained a certain amount of 376 The I am 99 Discourses understanding in this work, and have come to the point and the conclusion in life that whatever they have achieved thus far is but a fragment of what stands immediately before them, in all the assistance that has been given within the past 3 months in the clearing, cleansing and purifying of the feeling world of the student body. Only if you saw from our octave of life could you understand how great it has been and how in many individuals it has been almost complete. With your sustaining power in your call to life, it will soon be complete, and you will find the remainder who have not felt that complete release will find it with very great speed, because it is being done. That which has been the feeder of this discord and the human accumulation and discordant creation, has been removed from America and will not act again. The accumulation of the substance that has been the pressure upon mankind has been dissolved and consumed, so that it cannot find action. Therefore, mankind is already released from at least 2/3, and in many instances at least 4/5 of the pressure that has been pressing them down and making them feel their inability to cope with the conditions of life, the appearance world that confronted them. I say to you, gentlemen and friends of America, while we have spoken of this so many times yet it Discourse 12 377 always bears repeating, for you need to keep it before you, as long as you give power to the appearance world, which is human creation, you will find yourself constantly meeting obstruction. You cannot afford to do it. Life is perfect, the appearance world is filled with human, limiting, discordant creation which is not real and has no sustaining power except your attention fed into it, which carries your life action to sustain it so far as you are individually concerned. But if you will understand this and turn away, and I mean by that not only in your vision, your physical sight, but turn away in your feeling from the limiting appearance, the discordant appearance of the conditions about you, and turning to the presence of all life, which is happiness, courage, strength, and perfection, then you will be able to call forth this which you require to free yourself from these conditions which you have believed were real. I say to you, the appearance world, friends of America and gentlemen, is not real. It only has power to affect mankind through their attention held upon it. But I want you, friends of America who are listening today, to understand that not one discordant thing can reach you except through the power of your vision, your physical eyesight, or the power of your attention. When your attention is 378 the I am 99 discourses upon a thing, you are feeding your life energy into it, by which that quality, if it is discordant, comes back and finds action in your world. This one point alone, if mankind would understand and govern it, would shut the appearance world out of their world of action so completely that there would not be one single thing left to harass, limit, or disturb them. Therefore, today I wish to anchor within your feeling world, gentlemen and friends of America, such a power of action that you will not lose sight of this, that the only reason you find yourselves in limitations today, financially or otherwise, is because you have given power to the appearance world that says to you in your physical body, you are limited. Even though you have made the mistakes that have caused that appearance to temporarily hold its dominion, yet it has no dominion in this understanding of life which I am presenting to you now in these words. Your attention taken off that appearance will cause it to dissolve and disappear, because it has not your life to feed upon to sustain it. Therefore, gentlemen, I say to you, be firm and unyielding to this. Do not let your attention be held upon limiting, discordant things that deprive you of the fullness of the action of life at your call to dissolve and consume and release you forever from these conditions. It is Discourse 12:379 absolutely definite. It is sure to perform these certain results if you will not let your attention resting on discord be the governing power to act in your world. I say to you, gentlemen and friends of America, be so firm. Withdraw your attention from all limiting, disturbing conditions. Give it back to life where it belongs, then at your call to life, let that power of life flow forth in its full power of action through your human form, through your feeling world, and through your mental world, take its dominion there and hold it forever. It can be done, and I want you to realize today in my releasing these currents of energy to you while I am talking to you, I am helping you to hold definite dominion, and you, friends of America, should feel that power enter into your feeling world and lift you into that courage, strength, and confidence where you do know and feel, through the power of life in your own heart, that these words are true, that it is for you, that you have the authority of life to call its mighty power into action to set you free at once. Oh, do not delay. Do not feel that it is going to require years of time. For instance, in your old training of the understanding of life, it was supposed to have taken years and years of preparation for these activities, for this release to come. I say to you, friends of America and 380 the I am 99 discourses gentlemen, it is not so today one true enough, centuries ago it was. Mankind themselves, owing to the means of the cosmic light that were existing, had to fight these things out, as it were, for themselves. But today, in the release of the cosmic light that is freeing you from such strenuous individual requirements, then you are in the position to call to the presence of life for this freedom, and keeping your attention away from discordant, limiting things and giving it back to life, then you, the individualized presence of life, will set yourself free, absolutely and completely, in so short a time. Therefore I say to you, as you will make this effort, the ascended masters, who are just as real as you are, will give you the assistance. Now understand, friends of America, today, why the ascended masters are not limited and why they can give you unlimited assistance in your determination to be free, to purify yourself, and to hold the full power of action, which means the sustaining, continuing activity. If you will do this, you will see how true life is and how, all this time in your distress, life has been waiting for your attention in order to pour its greater perfection into your world of action. I say to you now, that it is for every human being in America and the world to come into this understanding and apply its great laws. They are Discourse 12:381 accurate. These laws interfere with no one in the world, their previous understanding or anything, but they illumine the understanding that mankind have had, put them on the right track, and sustain them there if they will so determine it. Since mankind are the decreers of their own world and how this energy is going to act for them, we cannot and have no desire to intrude anything upon anyone which they do not want. Since mankind do want freedom, want limitless supply, want perfection, want happiness, want the dominion of their own world, then I am presenting to you that which will give it to you, and the only thing in life which will. I say this in all kindness and all respect to everything that has come forth, but since mankind have not yet had their freedom through the understanding they have, then they should be reaching out. And all mankind are having a greater understanding that will give them their own power of application which does set them free. I call your attention to this one point definitely. Think of it, since mankind have sought through everything that has been presented to them, yet have not found that freedom, and since hundreds of thousands in America today are finding this complete freedom from all limitations through this understanding which I have brought forth, then it is 382 the I am 99 discourses time that mankind awaken to the fact that this does produce exact, mathematical results, and it is not just for a few. Everyone from the bootblack in the street to the banker or the President of the United States can apply this law with the perfection and blessing, if they will do it. I tell you, friends of America, whatever your position is today, I say to you, in this application of life there is nothing in all creation that can hold you longer in limitations or privation, or there is no power in the world but yourselves to hold you longer in those conditions. This understanding of life is before you. It produces exact results, and there is no power of human beings nor all put together that can hold one individual back from the perfection which this life offers, because life is the supreme power of the universe. There is no person, place, or condition that can deprive a determined individual of his freedom and dominion in this understanding and application of life. Thank you, gentlemen, and I say to you, the power to supply and free yourselves is yours. Friends of America, the power to set you free is in these words that go forth to you today and in the currents of energy which I send forth to you. You perhaps do not understand it, but I am not limited in any way whatsoever, and as I am flashing these words to the Discourse 12-383 messenger, then I am pouring forth to each one of you who are listening, that power of life, those mighty currents of energy, that sustaining, invincible power. It is entering into your feeling world and raising you into that dominion, freedom, happiness, strength, power, and courage which will draw you one day into that glorious power and freedom of life, and give you that which your hearts have craved all through many lifetimes, most of which you do not remember today. I say to you, friends of America, your liberty, your freedom is at hand if you will try to understand this great knowledge and apply it in your life. Please be seated. Remember, all this comes from the presence of life above your head. Think of it, you, today, no longer need to search for your permanent contact with God, but knowing you have it and always will have it. Then your requirement is calling to the power of life and holding harmony in your feelings over a sustained period of time until the outpouring of this great river of life can pour forth, carry out of your world all imperfection, and carry into it and sustain that full power and perfection of life. Then, friends of America and gentlemen, you are no longer subject to the conditions that have been. I call to your attention so vividly today that even though mankind are responsible for the mistakes. 384 the I am 99 discourses life does not condemn you. We do not condemn you. All we want to know is that now you are ready to turn to the presence of life and call it to cleanse and purify you and your world, so that you no longer requalify life as it goes forth on its great mission to bring perfection into your world. You are the determiner, you are the decreer of how it is going to act for you. And since in these few words today, you have been informed how you may change all this, then the responsibility is up to you. You may apply it or not, you may accept this or reject it. We love you just the same, but your life will not produce for you the perfection you desire unless you call to it with this understanding, and know that no matter what your mistakes have been, life does not condemn you. I repeat this, friends of America, for there are so many in America today who are living under self-condemnation because of the mistakes they made. I say to you, be fearless or be dauntless. Your mistakes, whatever they may be stopped at once, and the power of light at your call will flood forth to dissolve them, and cleanse, purify, and charge your world with its mighty action. Remember, friends of America and gentlemen, when I say, charge your world, at your command the power of life will charge into your world with the dynamic power of Discourse 12-385 action that brooks northwest interference from any condition that exists in the human world. Therefore I say to you, call it forth, friends of America, in the full power and dominion that is yours. Let life bless you as it has long wanted to do. While you have not known it, you have lived centuries and centuries under these same conditions, each time striving and waiting and praying to some degree to be free, but since you have the exact mathematical precision and application today by which this comes about, mathematically accurate, then I say to you, You are not subject any longer to the conditions that are mankind's creations. Assert your dominion. Stand forth free in the acknowledgement of your presence. I say to you, friends of America, in these parting words, remember, whether you have previous understanding or not, if you will accept the great individualized presence of life, the mighty I Am, above you, whose ray of light and energy beats your heart, and call to it, you will have the proof. All you require, that the presence of life, is there. But be determined, do not give power to human appearances longer, but stand firm and unyielding by that presence of life, and let its great river of life flow through you and bring its perfection into your world. It is the fullness of life. It is the power. 386 The I Am 99 Discourses of Life. It is the intelligence of life that every human being on this earth requires today. Remember, you are in the accumulation of mankind's limitations of the centuries, hundreds of thousands of centuries. So it is not surprising that you need to be firm at first and unyielding in your call to the presence of life, that it may shatter, that it may dissolve, and that it may consume the conditions which have held you in bondage all this time. Do you wonder that I ask you to be firm, determined, and unyielding in your call to the presence of life, and especially at first, until you see its mighty operating power take action in your world? Do not be surprised if it requires determination on your part. Remember, your determination is the outer action of the inner will and power of life that will sustain you, will strengthen you, will give you the full feeling and dominion of that power of life. It only requires your attention, your earnest, determined effort to find its full and complete action within you. Try it out, friends of America, and see what it will do for you. Remember, our part is to present to you this great truth of life which we have proven by our freedom and our ascension. We are the living proof of this identical application of life, for the very application you have today is the identical. Discourse 12 387 Application by which we have our freedom today. One day you will come to know that we are as real, in fact more real than you are. Therefore, try to believe, try to feel that it is within your province to reach us. Remember, all mankind in their attention to the presence of life, the mighty I Am, can become the full Christ beings in their full power of action. Since you have sought the Christ within and the ascended Jesus Christ without, remember that every human being is the child of God, and the proof is that the life of God beats your heart and the tiny flame of God is within the human heart. Therefore, the proof stands there, and I say to you, friends of America, within a very few years, every human being will be able to look within a physical instrument and see the flame within his own heart. This will enable him to know that God, the mighty I Am, is the presence of life that is beating his heart. Then will mankind know freedom and dominion, and nothing, not all human opinions, can take it away from them. Let us stand in that full power of the glory of life, its full and almighty power of action, and as you, friends of America, call your friends' attention to this great presence of life, remember you are rendering them a service. It is not up to you whether 388 The I Am 99 Discourses they accept it or reject it, but as you call their attention to it, you have fulfilled your part. Then it is within them to accept or reject. Remember, no one is coerced into this work, but all are left quite free. We call the eternal blessing of life upon you, friends of America, to take its dominion, take its action, to produce its perfection, and give you the perfection of life in the human octave. Keep your attention off human limitations, and put it on the presence which brings you the full power and glory so that it may be sustained. Go on in its action and its dominion, for it is giving you its evidence of the power of life to take command and hold its dominion there forever. Therefore, I say to you, joy is for him, for her today who will give attention to this understanding and all that it means to them. Friends of America, it is for you to accept or reject. We call the blessings of the understanding, the comprehension of life to take its full command and dominion. Therefore, gentlemen, today in this rare opportunity to pour forth my radiance, my blessings to you, it is a joy that words cannot describe. I thank you for your comprehension, for your feelings, for that gathering dominion within you through your attention to life that is doing so much. Gentlemen, please feel that even though outer manifestations Discourse 12 389 have not met your full demand, still continue on in that determination which ere long will set you free completely. Remember, that in the little obedience that we call your attention to, which life requires of you, it is very little in comparison with that great joy and limitless release of every good thing that you wish to have. Remember, we have tried to seek out within each one and find just how little obedience could be required, and ask that you might give it to have this great freedom. It is not that we ever want to deprive you of anything, of your human free will or that which should be asserted by you, but unless you do give the obedience to certain of these simple requirements which we have asked, you will find yourselves suddenly obstructed. Having passed through all these experiences which you go through, we know exactly what you require, and if you will let us help you by the suggestions we offer, then you will be free so quickly. But if you do not think that applies to you, that it applies to the other fellow, then you will find you are not going to be free. Since you have made such tremendous progress, such expansion of the light so far, well, why not go on and so quickly be free? Gentlemen, I say to you, watch out. Stand guard, your light is expanded so much more than you. 390 The I am 99 Discourses realize yet. Do not give way to human conditions for 1 second, accepting that they have power to deprive you any longer or that they hold a crushing hand upon you. They do not. This day, rejoice with me, and I especially prepared it for this hour. While you have been listening to these words, I have cut you free from the last binding thing. Will you accept that, and will you await the wisdom of your presence of life, in bringing its outer manifestation and proof of that into your world of action? You know I would not utter a word to you that was not true. When I say I have cut you free, that means I have temporarily cut you free from everything that would bind or hold you longer in fear or doubt, but since I cannot be the sustaining power of that, I have caused this to be done to give you time now to adjust yourselves to the presence of life, and call its full power of action to hold and sustain this release which I have given you this hour. This is mighty real, gentlemen, and since you know the only real activity is life itself, then try to feel the truth of my words applying to you individually. And I ask you to keep reminded of all the great divine director has done, all the goddess of light has done, all the goddess of purity and the mighty victory have done. Think of these magnificent friends, gentlemen, such mighty beings. Discourse 12:391 Besides all the others, but I speak of these especially because since they have charged certain qualities into your world of action, then they have made you a part of themselves. Gentlemen, I wish you could feel this with all the importance it is to you. Do you realize what it means for these great beings to make your life a part of them? If this had not been done, I could not have rendered this service today, but if you will accept this now, and then call your presence of life into action to sustain it, you will see the proof of my words, but I cannot sustain it for you unless you will give that obedience to life. The almighty progress that has been made, gentlemen, could you see as we do in all conditions of America, you would rejoice beyond any power of expression. And just think of it, gentlemen, we are just getting into action now. Oh, we want you to feel such joy, such happiness in your ability to call forth the invincible power of life. I say to you, gentlemen, do not yield 1 second to this which has been, notice I say, which has been, your feeling and fear of financial limitations. Gentlemen, as true as I am telling you, I have cut every one of you free today from that thing. Gentlemen, while you are standing, let us look this. 392 The I am 99 Discourses Thing squarely in the face. Any kind of limitation that holds its appearance before you is a human quality. Now you all know that, and I am sure you will all agree with me that it can be nothing, since it has no life, it can be but a human quality, then you know that thing has no power any longer. Try to feel that now, gentlemen, today. Remember that anything which has produced any kind of limitation for you, or has caused you to fear it or feel it, is but a human quality which has no power in itself. Don't you see, unless you feed your life into it through your attention, it cannot have power. Therefore, do something to keep your attention off that, and if there is not anything else, just turn on it and just keep saying to it through your feeling, you have no power now, you might as well get out, for I am going to keep this up until you know it and that feeling in me has to go down. My feeling is not going to accept that human sense of limitation anymore. It is only a human thing and has no power, and I will not accept it another minute. Therefore, I tell you, gentlemen, when you realize that you can cause to be dissolved fear or whatever it is in your world of that particular thing, you can sweep it out absolutely. I want you to feel that, because I have given you your freedom today. Of course, it can only be temporary unless you accept. Discourse 12:393 that and call your attention into action to sustain it. It will be so easy to do it if you will realize that I have told you the truth, that you have been cut free from that condition, and if it be fear, or whatever quality is manifesting there, it is gone, absolutely gone. I want you to feel that, because I tell you, gentlemen, if you saw from our octave of light the transformation that has taken place in 5 weeks over your America, and mark you. For about 8 months that fiendish thing had been deliberately catapulted at the people of America and especially the student body, to make them fear and believe they were not getting free from their financial limitations. That thing has been almost completely wiped out from the whole atmosphere of the people of America and largely from the student body, because that vicious force wanted to see this light fail, but it will never see it. I am so grateful, gentlemen, that you feel the need. That you see the necessity and are willing to do whatever is within your power to silence all attempted interference with this work, because I tell you, as the whole student body over America takes this stand, those vicious creatures will absolutely disappear. There is no reason why there should be opposition to this work. It is not a thing that interferes with anything in the world. It just expands the 394 the I am 99 discourses understanding of all mankind, and there is no reason why there should be this feeling. I tell you, vicious individuals who willingly do that, should be silenced, and I am sure they will be. Therefore I rejoice with you, gentlemen, and I feel honored indeed to call you my minute men. Now gentlemen, remember, we are only just getting started. We are going into action every day with more and more power. Notice this, in the ever-expanding action of the light within, it makes it possible for us to do more and more for you every day, and I want you to feel that. You are not overlooked for one day, not one of you, I want you to feel that. Do you think that we, after all your determined effort, would be so ungrateful as to forget you for a single hour? Do you think we do not hear your call and we do not feel the need of releasing you from the conditions for which you are calling? As you are more and more determined, we too are more and more determined, and you will find us absolutely holding you within our mighty light rays, giving you that courage, strength, and sustaining power which everyone needs. I tell you, gentlemen, you shall have it. Don't fail to claim it, first from your presence, then from us. Oh, gentlemen, do you not see we are just a little more advanced part of yourselves? Don't you see? Discourse 12:395 Thou we are just life in its fuller power and expression, then don't feel that we are too transcendent to be reached. It is true we are magnificent beings, but you can be like us. Everyone please feel that. Every one of you can be just like we are. It only means your determined stand and your continued, determined call to your presence of life, with our assistance. Think of the conditions, gentlemen. Suppose this existed 100 years ago. Suppose today we were set back 100 years. Your call then would depend absolutely upon the power of your own light within you as to whether you won the victory or not. Today you have had these qualities from the great divine director, the mighty victory, the goddess of light, the goddess of purity, and the goddess of liberty, all projecting their mighty qualities into your feeling world that is around you. Well then, do you not see that the great cosmic light is giving this assistance to the entire earth? Then don't you see, gentlemen, what a vastly different position you stand in, than if this same condition existed 100 years ago? Try to feel this, and it will give you the courage and strength to stand dauntless in your application until you have called forth everything your hearts desire. I am so determined, gentlemen, that I am going. 396 The I am 99 discourses to see all of you as young boys when we return in July, feeling the full power of buoyancy of youth acting through your bodies and your world of action. Oh, it is so real and so beautiful, and you can have it, beloved brothers of light. You can have it, and if you will be as determined as I, you shall have it out picturing. I thank you with all my heart for your determined stand to life and for your love to me. Oh, it is magnificent, it is a beautiful thing. I say to you again, gentlemen, that after almost 600 years, striving throughout mankind to get those who would listen to me and who would see the truth of the words I know to be real, to respond to it, remember, we shall not miss one opportunity to reach more and more of mankind. Therefore, beloved brothers of light, know that my hand is in yours. Know that my heart beats with yours, and that out of that heartbeat which is mine in you, will come the glory, the purity, the perfection, the dominion of life that has struggled so long to find its dominion in and through you. I thank you. I love you and bless you forever. DISCOURSES 414 July 9, 1939 LOS ANGELES, California Shrine Class Gentlemen of the Light, words fail utterly to convey to you my gratitude for your loyalty to the light. You know in your hearts this light is real, that it is true, that the messengers are honest, sincere, and true. Therefore, I say to you, we have now come to the time when every student who is sincere must prove his or her loyalty and sincerity by action. We have been very lenient so far, but when individuals are vicious for no reason at all except to try to turn sincere people from this light, then more than ordinary action must take place. So, I leave it to you to do whatever is necessary to silence vicious, poisonous gossip in your midst. Remember, your strength and fearlessness is within the light which beats your hearts. My service to America for 200 years shall not be in vain because of a few vicious individuals. I dismiss people because there is no hope, when I have given them the opportunity, and they go on spreading their viciousness, then that hope has ceased there, too. 397. 398 The I am 99 Discourses. So I say to you today, gentlemen, upon every I am student in America is resting the responsibility of the freedom of America. I shall not allow these messengers to carry that responsibility alone any longer. Therefore, thanks to your great love and light, as I have seen your great release of divine love to these blessed messengers and those who are assisting, my dear ones, it is a miracle, so-called, of earth. Think how the attempts have been made throughout the ages to restore this great light to mankind, and how so many attempts have failed utterly before. But today, with mankind knowing their great presence, the mighty I Am, it cannot and shall not fail to bring eternal, everlasting freedom to mankind. It will bring in the golden age which we have indicated to mankind, in which America will stand a blazing light of glory and happiness, the balance of all distribution of the things of earth to mankind, because in their call to life, it will compel life to bring that balance of supply of every good thing which the earth holds for them. Then you will see what it means to live in happiness and contentment, free from anxiety in the glory of the light of God that never fails. I thank and bless you for your loyalty. May it intensify hourly, daily, until you become the blazing Discourse 12-399 light of your mighty I Am, in the defense of America and your fellow students of the light. Thank you so much.